What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How are you beautiful people doing? Shout out to everybody in chat hanging out with us, man. We got a packed house already. Shout out to everybody. Shown 2 Mod of the Year, OCD, Poisoned, Talos, everybody in chat, man. Once again, retweet that link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live, man. It is 6 o'clock. You know what time it is, man. You guys already know. Shout out to everybody in chat. You guys are amazing. Had a great week. We got a lot to talk about. Well, I mean, we really only got one thing to talk about, right? Everybody knows why we're here. I hope nobody's surprised by what we're talking about at all. So shout out to everybody, like I said in the chat, man. We're going to get to the pleasantries. We got an awesome panel here, man. I might actually shoot out one more link here, but we'll see how the show is going, man. We got a phenomenal guest, man. This man needs no introduction at all. So my cousin, my brother in arms, Mr. Fun Speculation, Mr. Mav, how you doing today, brother?
Not bad, bro. Just thinking about start screens. It's like,
oh man,
you know,
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
I was daydreaming earlier about start screens.
Yeah, it's like, man, all I really want to do is launch the games and don't play them and just stare at the start screens and let my reviews go out based on that. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for sending me the invite.
Oh, no worries,
happy to be
man.
with Fuzz and Pong and you, PTK. I know we're gonna have some fun because this looks like it's going to be an episode all about Starfield.
Oh yeah.
I won't complain about whatsoever.
So once again, Fun Speculation 2.0 on Saturday, man. We do this at least once a month, right, Mav? Right? At least we do this about once a month where we have a Fun Speculation 2.0. If you missed it Friday, you get a second dose, right? Maybe not as wild, right? We don't go far as left. I don't think so, Pong, right? You guys get pretty crazy on Friday.
Yeah. You never know what happens on Friday nights. It's much calmer here.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. So if you want a toned down version, a watered down version, excuse me, of Fun Speculation in the best way possible of Fun Speculation, come check us out here at the Shop Podcast, man. But shout out to you, man, for hanging out with us. I already see some FSP people in the chat. Shout out to y'all. I see Jasper Psycho was down there. Man, shout out to all y'all coming through, man. It's always beautiful to see these people. And they come out for you, Mav. You bring the people out, man. You got that star quality.
Yeah, they just want to see what I'm like if I'm calm, cool, and collected. That's true. They're not used to seeing that. So
that's true.
But that's what you get here on the shop. You got to have sensible, intelligent conversations here. This is a real podcast.
Don't let Matt fool you. Coming on here. Don't let him pull the wool over your eyes, chat. Don't let him pull the wool over your eyes. Okay. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you, brother. I fucking love you being here, bro. Especially this week. I had to get you on, bro. I know you guys did this yesterday, and you've done this like 3 times already, but I had to get you in here, bro. We got so much to talk about. Shout out to chat. What's up, Chris? Shout out to OCD, Talos, everybody in the chat. But I got to get to my brothers, man. We got a great show. I got to get to you, Pong, first. And man, oh man, I've been chomping at the bits to talk to you, to get you on here, man. And it has been a week, Pong. Legendary.
Yeah.
Dare I say, what legendary, generational, what other nouns and adverbs do we have?
Yeah.
What do we
you can put anything in there you want to.
Okay,
really.
That's true.
It all works when it comes to this type of talk. And we've already talked a lot. I'm managing a headache, so I've been managing a headache the entire week now. So if I'm a little off, bear with me, everybody. I just woke up about 10 minutes ago here, trying to make sure that this thing doesn't turn into a migraine.
Pong, dude.
Oh man, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, it's gone now. Though.
Yeah.
Pong's not as lucky.
Yeah, we got that smoke fire from Canada again.
Man, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's just. Again, outgrew all my allergies. I had severe allergies as a kid. Outgrew most of them, but certain times of the year. But smoke was one of the worst, so it catches me off guard still. And it's been bad this week. I haven't had it like this in a while. So, but no, I'm here. Steele and I had a 5-hour show this morning as well.
Ooh,
into the afternoon.
Yeah, he in the chat too. Shout out Steele.
Oh yeah. My brother,
that armor core. He gonna be throwing that in there.
Bro, I let him take over when we did upcoming week of gaming, which we do on Living Split Screen. We talk about next week's game. We got Armored Core 6 was the last one on the list, and I just said, okay, I'm gonna introduce this game, and then I'm just gonna let Steele take over from here. And he did. He's been pushing that heavy.
Steele.
He's
How
a
long
one-man
does that
army out here.
segment last for Armored Core?
Like 15, 20 minutes, and that's 15 minutes probably, somewhere
Okay.
around there. And that's upcoming week of gaming, though. Like, so
Right,
that's just us talking. So,
no, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm a little disappointed in that, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? You thought that's short?
bro.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't realize
I
how
thought,
long 15 minutes is, man?
I thought Steel was going to go for at least an hour and a half about Armored Core.
Oh,
He's done that over the course of our living split screens already, sir.
Okay.
Leading up to this,
Well,
he is a one-man game of the year, Armored Core 6 game of the year, promotional walking advertisement. That man is ridiculous. They don't need buses. They just need Steel walking the streets, right? And he would have them, he would have everybody on board.
He's graffitiing the buses with Armored Core.
Right now.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's been a heck of a week. I haven't played a whole lot this week. Been playing some Everspace 2 though, however. So that dropped, and of course I am in the sci-fi mode right now. I played some of that on PC Game Pass previously just to check it out, see how it was, because I really liked Everspace 1. And so I popped that in on the Xbox though this week to kind of compare and contrast between the PC version. And man, outside of the known stuttering issue with the Xbox version, which the devs are well aware, they've already come out, apologized, and they're working on it. The game really does live up to the PC version. It's gorgeous. Nice. Everspace 2, if you're looking for a shooter looter, which is what this game is, it's a space shooter looter, as much as that sounds funny. That's what you're going to get out of Everspace 2, with a really cool little story attached to it. But graphically, again, space games, you can have gorgeous games anywhere that are set anywhere in the real world or fantasy worlds or whatever. You can get some amazing, amazing things, but there is nothing like a space game that just goes all out with that space aesthetic, with that deep blacks, with the stars and the ship graveyards and the planets and the rings, and this has it all. Just some really gorgeous screenshots already from this game. So yeah, Everspace 2 has been really, really, really fun. I advise anybody who's got Game Pass to, again, no risk, man. Like I always say, no risk.
I've heard good things about it myself. So on my timeline specifically,
Flight controls, everything feel excellent once you get it down. And again, it is a looter. The devs admitted that it's part Diablo. Like, you're picking up stuff all the time, and it's got rarity to your lasers. That's
right up my alley, man. You don't even look. Cool. Listen, I'm done. Yeah. You've done it already again. This is like the 8th week in a row. You sold me on a goddamn Game Pass game, Pong. Jesus Christ.
So yeah, check it out. Again, no risk. Other than that, it's been just Starfield hype building all week. Mav and I went over 2 hours on PM and the PM just on Starfield alone. Steel and I went almost 2 hours today on Starfield.
Nice.
Talked about last night on Xbox Ultimate. Again, I'll never get sick of talking about Starfield, man. This week has been extra special because it's been killing the concern trolls out here. It's been absolutely destroying them.
You letting the top off the bottle already?
Listen, but like every good concern troll, they don't go away. They keep coming back for more. They don't take their L's. They don't die. They regenerate. They come back. And like Mav said, now we're on to menu screens. Yes, that's how far the bottom of the barrel we've gotten. It's now menu screens. Even though everybody's already posting all the other menu screens that have ever been created that are minimalistic, that are gorgeous.
Damn near identical.
Yes, they do, sir. Including some of the greatest games of all time, like The Last of Us. Minimalistic menu screens. But again, they got to keep trying to feed themselves. This is what they do. People keep giving them attention. Again, just by me talking about it, yes, you can say that's attention, but I do not retweet them. I do not quote tweet them. I will not give them the satisfaction of what they want, but they're out there. They're in full force. Get ready. This is going to continue because Starfield is that magnet. It is that black hole that just attracts everything, good, bad, and indifferent. This is what we talked about. This is why we said it didn't need the marketing campaign for 3 months. It generates its own.
You know what I realized, Pone?
Yeah.
And chat, listen to this. You know what I realized? Out of all, and in this the greatest year in video game history, I think we've already reached that point. I'm past that point. I said it a month ago. And this is overkill at this point. We're already like the puppy's dead. Like put it away, right? So essentially, at the end of the day, out of all these sea of great games, there's only one game that gets consistently like compared to these great games, and that's Starfield. Like nothing else gets compared. Like you don't see a Final Fantasy versus Baldur's Gate comparison, although they're categorically the same, being RPGs. It's always Baldur's Gate, Starfield. It's always Zelda, Starfield. It's always Hogwarts, Starfield. It's never anything else. So I mean, when you really look at it that way, I mean, we got to be subjective, people, right? Like what's getting talked about. That's why it doesn't need the marketing, doesn't need all of that extra stuff.
Nope. Exactly. And that's exactly what we've just seen. Again, it went from where's the buses to now it's massive overload, right? We're seeing Starfield everywhere. It's trending daily on Twitter. You've got Post Malone out here giving free marketing speeches. Again, this is what we all said. Those of us in the know, those of us that understood what Bethesda titles, especially Todd and the A-Team, mean, and how this was going to go down in 2023 with social media. Like I was talking, and again, we'll get into it. But like I was talking with Mav. This is the first time that I've been a part of a community like this, right? When a Bethesda title has launched, but even, back in the day, I was aware of how big they were. Obviously, it's my favorite games, but showing up at GameStop, standing in line with everybody else, hearing about other people saying they're taking off work just like I was, but this is the first time we've had this social media to this extent for one of these single player RPGs from Todd and the crew, right? This is the first time we've had it. But I knew this is exactly what it was going to result in, was this massive explosion. And again, it's all good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. It all elevates this game further and further into the consciousness, not only of just this community, but even people outside, because no matter what's happening, people are seeing it trending. People are hearing people talk about it, going, what is this Starfield game? What is going on? It's already starting to seep into the masses, which that's exactly what you need and exactly what we knew was going to happen. And just wait until it actually launches and everybody's talking about it, right? So we're getting closer and closer. Can't wait to get into it with you guys. So let's get down to business, PTK.
Oh yeah, and like I said before, if you're just getting here, that's all we're talking about tonight. It's a surprise. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware that it's Starfield all tonight. So I'm so excited, and like you said, Pong, I couldn't wait to get in here with you, bro. I've been chomping at the bit to talk.
I know you've been in the DMs, brother.
God, man, listen, the DMs been crazy, chat. Like y'all don't even understand how much I've been wanting to talk about Starfield, man. We're gonna get into all of the Q&A stuff. We're gonna talk about everything. So let me get into this quick. Shout out to Smitty Smith for the $5 super chat. We don't want to miss those. He said, what up, esteemed panel in chat? Kings for Charcoal Briquettes have just endorsed the PS5 for its next BBQ campaign, the Book of X, man. Shout out to you, Smitty. Man, yeah, we gonna keep it real here, man. We gonna see what this Starfield thing gonna do, though. It's starting to feel crazy. It's feel historic. All those big words, generational, you want to use, you throw them out there. That fits the occasion, man. This is Todd and the A-Team. And to be honest with you, what's crazy, Pong, for me, I'm new to all of this. Right, like this is new for me. Like I just jumped on the Diablo train like 8-9 months ago. So this RPG stuff, me getting into this, I just bought the premium edition upgrade just to make sure I had it so I can get in early. I'm all on board for this, man. So let's go ahead and throw this.
Wait, hold on, PT, just blame. I got a real question. Though. I don't know how much we've talked about it or what I've heard you say, so I'm trying to remember. Did you play a lot of Skyrim or Fallout or anything prior to?
I dabbled, man, here and there.
Okay.
I was a grazer for sure. Before the word was invented by, obviously, you're a Steam self, Pong, right?
So, no, that's a Microsoft internal word that I stole. Jez is the first one who ever told it, but I use it that way. So you've just dabbled. So you're kind of like Steel in that way.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
perfect.
So,
I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
And Chad, I want to make sure. Yeah, exactly. I want to make sure I give the right perspective. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm a day one like you, Pong. I don't want to get it misconstrued. So, Chad, this is exciting for me personally because I've never gotten a chance to experience this, and I'm interested now. And before I was completely blind, I dabbled, that part of that was FOMO just to see what people were talking about, but I wasn't committed. I wasn't trying to understand what these types of games like were about, right, Pong? So, And you,
Perfect.
like I said, you've been in day one. So I'm going to give my thoughts.
Perfect.
Obviously, chat. I'm going to break this down. What's up, Web Dave, Toolman, Smitty Smith, Mash Hole, 1977, man? You guys are coming through, man. Chat getting filled up quick. So retweet that link. Let everybody know we're live here, man. But Fuzz, let's throw this over to you, man. You know, we talking Starfield. I've been dying to talk to you. You know what I mean? So what's going on with you this week, man? How you been?
Well, I've been pretty good, and just looking at the app formerly known as Twitter and just getting a few chuckles out of it. Like I didn't think the start menu thing would be on the bingo card, but here we are. Like,
oh man,
I mean, of all the things to deep dive into, the preload for PC. They're looking for the DLSS stuff, but I understand because I have an NVIDIA card, so it's good to know. But there are so many other things. I'm surprised they didn't try, especially considering. I would figure there would be a few people out there to try to do like early access by forcing it to get the thing to open and see if they do like a change date or something like that, if that worked. But man, glad to be here. So much to talk about it with Starfield. Like I'm excited for Starfield. Also, equally excited, if not more so, for Forza. That's like a month later. But man, oh man, we're going to have some busy couple of months here with these games coming out. But me being the sci-fi nut I am, I'm definitely looking forward to was it the 31st at midnight or something like that? So
8 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. Eastern. So
it's going down.
I think we're going to find out how was it like work not progress, but like with a lot of people either calling out or calling in sick or just not paying attention while if they're working from home playing Starfield in between calls or in between emails. Productivity is going to take a hit, but man, let's do this.
Hey, Fuzz, real quick before we get off it, and I'm not going to derail the show too much here, but I got to hear your thought. And I know we got a lot of racing fans, a lot of Forza fans in the audience, obviously, that come to hear you talk. But real life, Fuzz, what are your quick initial thoughts on the new Mustang GTD? I gotta know.
Aside from the price, I
mean, of course, they're only making 1,000, 2,000 somewhere in there.
Early, we got that early. Y'all got to hit that like button. We got that auto
because we're gonna see that. We'll probably see this in Forza, right?
Yeah.
So,
So it's an awesome streetable race car. I mean, it's a Halo car to the extent where it's not the norm. You might see a handful of these outside of a showroom or outside of a museum or a car show kind of thing, but I mean it's definitely purpose built. Like I would say it's on par to like what Porsche enthusiasts usually go through with like the GT3 and GT2 and whatnot, as far as that series of cars, whether you're going to take the car to the track, put some numbers on it and all that. That's kind of what that car is for. And then there's going to be some other cars out there that will probably give it a run for its money. But for a Mustang, this is definitely like the epitome of, basically a track car for the street kind of thing. And if you're looking to run IMSA or like a GT3 or a GTS type qualification or something like that, as far as that racing, feel for the year, that's the car to buy. But good luck getting one. And I know dealers are going to mark those things up. It's supposed to have a retail at 300. Good luck getting it for probably under 500. Right. I mean, other than like the guy that already has it in when they got the GTs at the dealership and stuff like that. So, but awesome car. There's going to be a lot of mimicking because you're going to see regular Mustang guys do like a wide body kit, or there's going to be some massaging of the fenders to get it to flare out like that. You'll see body kits and other accessories out there that will mimic it. But this is Ford at their prime as far as for something for the track. We'll love to see more of it. Too bad the Camaro's kind of going away, and I know Dodge is getting ready to do that transition to full electric here soon. But man, I just miss the sound of a V8 with aftermarket cams and gutted exhaust, straight pipes or do like a H pipe type of deal. But that thing is a thing of beauty. Just I need to hit some lottos.
Rarity.
Well, maybe we'll be able to race it in a Forza Motorsport.
We probably will,
right?
which is Yeah, which is why I brought it up, because I'm not even an American guy. I'm a car guy. Obviously, I grew up in a
Yeah.
muscle car family, so both my mom and dad race cars. So I've been around them all my life, but I'm more Euro and Japanese style. But to see Ford come back with a full gasoline supercar like this,
Yeah.
like that still impresses me. And I gotta say, as not somebody who's been a fan of, current day Mustang at all, the aero on this, everything about it, the styling is awesome. Like I first saw it and I was like, wow, they went out of their way. I just love to see car manufacturers not give up, go full electric, come back. Let's have a last decade of gas guzzlers, please, before we go all electric. I don't want to see them die off. So I just had to get your thoughts, Fuzzy. I can't
it's
wait
all
to
good,
drive this
man.
thing.
Yeah.
Hey, run it up, man. No, you got that car talk early, chat. That's a cherry on top. We don't always get that, man. So shout out to y'all. We got another quick super chat $5, another one from Smitty Smith. Shout out to you, bro. Lighting it up there. And once again, man, we appreciate every single super chat donation, whatever you want to do, man. All of that stuff is in the link below in the description. But shout out to you, Smitty Smith, $5 super chat. He said. Also, what's going to make Starfield awesome is that everyone's playthrough will be different. That is true. That is true. That is one of the underrated parts of Starfield that doesn't really get talked about. But guess what's going to happen? We're talking about it. We're definitely getting into that for sure, man. And we got the perfect panel to do so, man. So let's get into it, man. We're not wasting any time. We're jumping off the front porch with this one, Paul. So I'm actually, let me start with you on this one, man. I want to get, obviously, Starfield went gold. Chad, if you haven't been living under a rock, you're aware of that this week, which was huge. Obviously, they gave out the review codes a little earlier than some people expected. Now, I thought that due to the size of the game, it was almost mandatory that they try and get them out as quickly as possible because it's going to affect the reviews if you don't give people enough time to play it. It's that kind of game. You can't give people a week and say, hey, go ahead and review this game. You need as much time as you can give them. 2 weeks plus a couple days is kind of nice. So just where you at on it going gold for one, obviously that kind of flies in the way of a lot of people talking about the actual state of the game and making up all of this nonsense, Mav. You know the echo chamber, how it goes on the app formerly known as Twitter. You know how it goes there, man. But we're going to get started with you, man. Just where you at on it going gold, your excitement for the game. Obviously we're getting this game extremely soon. People are already playing it. It's just the community's buzzing with Starfield.
Oh man, it's a time, right? I mean, you can sense it. Everybody's talking about it. Celebrities are talking about it. The people that are trying to spread negativity about it are talking about it, and the only reason that exists is because of the hype behind it, right? Because those are attention getters, right? They're people trying to seek out and fish for attention. And a game's big when those idiots out there are choosing Starfield to try and spread the nonsense, right?
Yeah.
It is a moment in time. We'll remember the launch of Starfield for a long time, right? It'll be one of those things we look back on. You remember how crazy it was when that game came out? I mean, people couldn't stop talking about it for weeks and weeks leading up to launch. I mean, there's other games coming out this holiday. This is one of the best years in gaming
It is.
ever, right?
You
Like,
gotta rewind that. It is the best year. For
arguably
sure.
the best. And Starfield has a spotlight in a year where there's a new Spider-Man coming out. We've played those before. In a year where there is all these other games. Like we talked about Armored Core earlier. You have the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat's coming out. You have Forza Motorsport finally coming back. You have just an astronomical amount of great games that have already released this year, but yet the talk of the town and potentially the greatest year of gaming in history is Starfield, and it's gone gold. The game is done. We are sitting on the precipice of something special. You were using words like historic, legendary, I'll say unequaled, right? I mean, there's without parallel, incomparable, peerless, unrivaled, unprecedented, extraordinary, rare, original, unheard of, inimitable. How about that one?
Oh, that's a $20 word right there. Careful, I don't got the budget for that. You eating up the budget with these words, man. Come on, man.
Careful.
This is one of those. This is one of those games, right? That there is it's a rare time when we have one of these games that is going to be special and an experience that you haven't had before, right? So we're on the cusp of it. The fact that it's gold, the fact that all these review copies are out and you're starting to hear these like rumblings of stuff that is just positive and positive and positive, and the only thing that somebody can reach for to try and seek out something to pick on is picking on the start screen, right? So there is an abundance of excitement, man, and I haven't been this hyped in a long time for a game release, and I think the all of gaming should be celebrating this, and I think they will be closer we get to launch, and then except for those that maybe don't have a way to play it, maybe those are the guys that may not be cheering it on. But
Interesting.
yeah, I'm
Interesting.
pumped, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm hyped. And like I said, sorry for those people that won't be able to enjoy this game. You do have options. You can also go to your local store, and make a purchase as well. No, hey, it is
People
what
have
it is,
been
no
doing
problem.
that for this
Yeah.
game. This is
So
a ecosystem system seller, PTK.
definitely.
Right? That's what kind of game this is. We've already had comments in our chats and
Mhm.
on YouTube on our channel about people, that have gone out and bought an Xbox
Yeah.
just for Starfield, right?
Yeah.
And that people have been buying PCs just for this game.
Same.
Like,
Upgrading
I
their
mean,
PCs. I've seen that
yes.
like upgrading their PCs and making all kind of swaps and changes. So yeah, it's one of, and that's the crazy part about it. And like you said, man, I just got to reiterate this point, man. And you've already broken down in a ton of different words what make this game special. This year is insane, man. Like if you literally like if you really wrote it down and saw it on a piece of paper, you like this is almost unimaginable how good we've had it this year, man. It doesn't make any sense how good and consistent these games have been this year. We've had some like misses, Redfall and whatever, but we've had some misses. But for by and large, 90% of this year has been like game of the year quality from like early, right? From I would say what Hi-Fi Rush would be the first game that kicked it
That
off.
was in
Would you agree with
January, and
that?
it's
Yeah.
for sure. And that was a shadow drop. As
Yeah.
good as this year is, nobody anticipated that game. Like there was rumblings about a game possibly called Hi-Fi Rush. There was
Yeah.
like stuff had leaked that there was uh, a game that existed that nobody knew about, but nobody expected it to shadow drop earlier
Yeah.
this year at the developer direct, right?
Yep.
And then to continue on with that, we've had excellent remakes this year with like
Yep. Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. You had Dead Space, remakes that really took off. You have games come out like Baldur's Gate
Quake was
3,
a good remake, right?
right?
Quake 2.
Yeah, Quake also, yes, and that was another shadow drop.
Like a 92, man, on Metacritic.
Xbox had 2 shadow drops this year. 2 shadow drops this year. That's crazy for 1 year. I mean, we're lucky if we get one, but they had 2 shadow drops this year. Now, neither of them were the biggest games ever, but like Hi-Fi Rush just surpassed 3 million players for a game like that and an ecosystem like it's on. It's extremely impressive. They're super happy about it. Quake 2 is really well done. And they went out and I think especially with Quake 2, it's a good example because they launched that and shadow dropped it, and it was a love letter to fans, which completely contrasted the news that had just come out about Red Dead Redemption and the money grab thing that they were doing over at Rockstar. So you had this like Xbox
shameful
version,
stuff,
right? Where it's like we're taking even an older game. We're giving it a lot more work and a lot more love. We're giving it to you for $9.99 plus a new expansion, or a new content, and all this other stuff, and it's everywhere, and it's crossplay, and all these kind of things. Like that's just going above and beyond, right? And that's another shadow drop, and that goes with you got other games like Hogwarts Legacy came out this year.
Like 15 million in a month or something crazy like that. Hogwarts did.
The highest reviewed game of all time on OpenCritic came out this year with Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Like there's just this nonstop avalanche of greatness. Zelda came out this year for the Nintendo fans. Like we got a Mario hitting this year too. Like, I mean, dude, this is nuts. And this next few months, and we talked about this several times on our shows, is like this next few months has a chance to be the greatest few months run ever right between Starfield, which is the most talked about, most anticipated game of 2023 out of all of them, to Spider-Man 2, to Forza Motorsport,
Armored
and
Core
then
6.
Armored Core 6, Mortal Kombat 1, and then you have the chance that there's rumblings right now and potential rumors that Stalker 2 might hit December 1st as well. Dude, it's just an insane year, and I think the culmination is the moment Starfield launches.
Man, it's crazy to think about it, chat. Like you got to take that in. Let this soak in. I know we bitch and complain all the time on Twitter about all these specific things, but we were really got to stop and smell the roses. This year has been phenomenal. It has been phenomenal. Like when you really sit and think about it, no matter the platform you're on, we've all been eating good. We've all been eating extremely good. There's been some misses here and there, but by and large, this has been a phenomenal year. So, Pong, I know we got to get into it. I know this is dedicated to Starfield for sure, man. Obviously, this game you've been looking forward to your whole life, Pong. And chat, I'm not. Look, listen, chat. That sounds crazy, right? I'm dead ass serious, chat. But this is Pong. I found out because I do watch the show.
Yeah.
That you went to space camp.
Yes, I did.
Story.
Yes.
Mav, I know Mav.
Yeah.
I know Mav. You haven't attended space camp, nor have I, Mav. So
No.
don't feel bad about that.
You know, I was feeling bad. I feel better now. You know.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I haven't gone to space camp either. I've never been to Alabama, so I don't know. Like so. But no. Shout out to you. But Pong, yeah.
What
I know
other reason is there to go to Alabama besides space camp?
I mean, if you're a football fan, maybe.
Okay.
Football,
Yeah.
That's
There you go.
That's a good reason. But no, but Pong, just where you're just on everything going on, man. Like, is it almost feel like a what do you call that? Almost like a lucid dream, almost like this kind of weird experience for you, because this is something you've been waiting for forever, man. And you're gonna die on this hill. You said it from day one. This is going to be something very special because of who's making the game, the passion behind it. You knew from the very beginning, everything that was going into this game. And I just talk your shit, Pong. Go ahead, man. I know you've been holding this stuff in.
Oh man, we've been talking about it a lot, and it's becoming surreal at this point after everything. And I got to mention, Mav had a great list of games there, and there's so many this year. And then we always talk about this too. The games in between are what make the GOAT years, right? It's the games that maybe not everybody thinks about when they think about the biggest years of all time, but it's the ones that round out the roster. And we had Remnant 2 and we had another game.
I forgot.
Yeah, Remnant 2 is freaking fantastic, underrated, dark horse in my book, obviously. But then we've had a game drop today that I think that more and more people are going to start seeing on their timelines on X and stuff, which has been blowing up today. But it's coming out. It came out on PC and Switch. It's hitting PlayStation and Xbox on September 1st. But Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, a Jet Set Radio love letter, is blowing up right now. It already peaked over 9,000 for a small title from a small studio that is just doing an absolute love letter to Jet Set Radio, which has an enormous fan base. So many people have clamored for Sega to bring it back. That's the type of year we are having, and I'm expecting the reviews for that game from everything I've seen to also be absolutely 100% fantastic. It's that type of year. We're not going to, again, next year's lining up very well with this year. We might have a stretch run of 2-3 years where we're just blown away year after year. But this year, I think, might just stand atop everything when it's all said and done because of everything Mav just said. But when it comes to Starfield, I was on another level of hype before Cyberpunk 2077 came out, right? So Cyberpunk is another beloved, that type of game we don't get very often. And Cyberpunk, for me, personally, as you all know here, lived up to that hype. Did it come out perfect? Nope. We talked about it, but it became one of my greatest of all time favorite games, right? So that lived up. This is on another level because it is Todd Howard and because it is the A-Team, because it is Bethesda, because I love their single-player RPGs so much, especially the Elder Scrolls series. I really love Fallout as well. It's just not as much as Elder Scrolls. But then you just kind of hit on something, PTK, and I know it's funny. I told this story last night on Xbox Ultimate. But I did go to space camp when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I did want to be an astronaut at one time, right? I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be a weatherman. I've always been into the sciences. I'm just don't want to do the homework for sciences, okay? Because that's where I realized when I was a kid
And that's
that
when
this
you lost
wasn't for me.
right?
That's
Mav
right.
lost
Yeah,
you
yeah,
at the
yeah.
exact point.
Right. So for me, exploring space, sci-fi next to next to high fantasy, sci-fi is a very, very close second in my heart as to games and entertainment, and when it comes to movies and that kind of stuff that I love to just get wrapped up into and not leave. Obviously you guys all know I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yep.
I'm almost equally a Star Trek fan on the other side of that
Yep.
as well.
Me and you are
So,
very the same. In that
yes.
regard. You know the whole
Right.
behind. You know.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do, man, and I do, and I know you can get the same love for high fantasy that
Yep.
I do as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this game, because we do not get space games like this, and a lot of it is the technology side of it that Todd talked about. There just hasn't been opportunities for people to create open universes, right? It's very difficult because it's one thing to create a world. It's another thing to create 1,000 worlds, right? It's another thing to create the entire space, right? When we think about that, this game is going to give me a chance to let me live out my fantasies of traveling to space, of becoming a space pirate, of building bases on other worlds, of having a deep narrative storyline that asks really big questions about why we're here. Are we the only ones, right? How did we come here? That is all in one game.
You know what's crazy, Pone?
Yeah.
You realize how
Go ahead.
introspective those things are? Like
Yes.
that's the part of Starfield people are missing.
Yes.
Like it's
Yes.
really like those are questions no
What's
other
out
games
there?
ever asked you. Like and realistically tried to simulate.
No, we've had movies,
Yeah.
right? We've had movies. We've had lots of other forms of entertainment that have delved into that. But again, with video games being interactive, the tech had to catch up to this point where we could have a game like this come across. And for this to specifically be coming from Todd's brain from, 2 decades ago, and obviously the team over there at Bethesda does add the extra special sauce for me, because I already knew when they announced this game that what I was going to get from them. And people, we've talked about this plenty of times when Starfield first started catching fire and people started talking about, we started talking about, people were like, how can you be excited for Starfield? You have no idea what it is.
Pong was Pong was front and center, man. I want to tell y'all, we got to make sure they know. He was front and center from day one, taking them bullets, taking them pellets.
Oh yeah, and Mav and I did PM into PMs on this, and like we've been trying to spread the good word throughout all of this that yes, we did know what this was going to be. No, did we know specifics? Do we know specifics at this point about the narrative? No. Do we have little glimpses of it? Of course we do. That's what they do to tease us. But overall, we knew exactly what this game was going to be. We knew what Bethesda was capable of building. They have a formula that they use to create these sandbox open world RPGs that are really not done in this style anywhere else. Again, there's been a lot of people who have imitated them, but there's really, really only one true masters like this. Now, other places like CDPR have done a fantastic job of doing their own style and coming close. Again, Cyberpunk, that's why I love Cyberpunk so much, because I can just spend hours just driving around, soaking in the atmosphere, not even doing missions or anything else. There's very few companies who come close to this. Bethesda are the ones that have mastered this. They have this formula. So I knew going in what they were going to give us as far as a baseline goes. And that's all I needed to know, because you're giving me space to go play in. And that, to me, there's nothing like it out there. Again, yes, No Man's Sky has done it to a certain extent. I told you guys, I was day one on No Man's Sky. And shout out to Sean Murray and shout out to Hello Games, who have continued to work on No Man's Sky, and eventually now, 6 years later, have gotten to their original vision. And in fact, they're advertising another expansion. They are getting some hype off of this Starfield as well. And I love it, because No Man's Sky has a place. Just because it didn't launch the way it was supposed to, it doesn't matter. Here we are. We have a game that I can jump into, enjoy, but it's still not a Bethesda game. It's still not a Todd Howard. It's still
like it, huh?
It doesn't have that grim reality setting to it, right? It doesn't have that kind of grounded setting. It's more colorful, it's more out there, it's more trippy than a Starfield is going to be. Starfield is, as they describe it, NASA punk. So it's based in grounded reality, and it's got that grit to it. It's got that, as we get closer and closer here, and as I've got my days off, I'm off from the 1st through the 5th. So obviously Mav and I are doing an hour-long PM and the PM on the 31st, and then we're rolling right into Starfield, and we'll be firing it up. I just get so overwhelmed by the idea of what I'm going to be doing for those 5-6 days in this game. And I've already, tried to lay out in my head, okay, knowing what I know, the little bits and pieces that they've given us, how am I going to start my exploration? Like a lot of it is, what is the opening like, right? We know the Skyrim opening almost by heart at this point. People made a joke. Somebody threw it out there. I posted it in the DMs last night. Somebody threw it out there where they said, boy, the Starfield intro really hit. And they had the Starfield menu screen, and they clicked on new, and it goes right into you waking up in the back of a horse cart, right? So like that was just hilarious.
I love that.
But the fact is that why you can do that is because so many people know that intro. So many people remember the first feeling of walking out of your Fallout shelter, right? Everybody remembers that moment. If you played Fallout and you love Fallout, those are those step out moments. Now, Todd said there's 2 of them. So what are we going to experience in the opening moments of Starfield? That hits me too when I think about how I'm going to start this game off. How quickly do I get into space and start making my pirate kingdom, right? How am I going to do this? I'm so excited to finally be here. We went from thinking it was going to launch November 11th, 2022. Then we didn't know when it was going to launch. We just knew it was delayed to 2024. We knew it was supposed to be in the next 12 months. Obviously, Mav, a lot of the Fun Speculation family got on the Marcher train, right? We created this movement. Shout out to Rand, who gave us a name live on the air on Xbox 2.
I love that.
We had the Marchers marching. We had a whole, kind of.
I hope you guys end up
with
getting
that.
like modded into the game.
I know.
Right?
That's what Mav already put that out there into the space, and I said, my God, it'd just be great if Todd and the team actually heard of us and just gave us a monument on a planet somewhere to the Marchers, right? It would just be fantastic. Cool, but we had that whole lead up to March 2 where we were, we were having a fun time. It was all speculation. It was all in anticipation and excitement for this game that we had that whole movement. But then to, finally get the word that it wasn't happening, and then finally get this date for September. And then obviously the 45-minute direct during Showcase sealed everything I've been talking about on all these shows for these past 2 years, 3 years. We've been talking about Starfield now. It solidified everything for me personally. It really wrapped it up in a bow. And I said, that's exactly what I thought I was going to get. And in fact, it exceeded my expectations in some levels, like some dream scenarios about being able to board a ship, take over a ship. Like, yes, I was hoping that was going to be in there, but then they showed it to me on the screen actually being done and confirmed. Like, those are the moments. And so now we're here on the cusp of launch day, early access, August 31st. And I just want to get into the game, man. I'm so jealous of all these people with review copies. Like Mav said, don't know if I would be so excited to have a review copy, but it would be kind of a job at that point to have a review that I had to get done because I got a review key. I would be extremely.
I thought about that too, man.
Yeah.
I don't think so chat, hear me out here. Hear me out, Pong. I don't know if you agree with me on this. If I got a review copy, I wouldn't do the podcast until the 31st.
Right.
Like, there's no way I could do any podcast or this podcast. There's no way. Because I couldn't act like I wasn't playing it and sit here and talk to you guys for 2.5 hours on a Saturday. Fuck no, chat. There's no way. That can happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I'm jealous. but I'm also, I want to see what they're seeing, and we've seen leaks. If you've gone and looked for them, I've seen some more leaks today.
I haven't.
I don't care.
I
Me,
know.
I don't give a shit, and I'm not going to talk about them because I respect everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that get ruined by this stuff. I go actively seek it out, so I've been seeing certain things that really do get me even more excited, and I want to be there right now. But I also know we are just a week and a half away, and I'm going to be diving in free and clear, with no responsibilities to a review. I think that is fantastic. But again, to be a part of a community as well for the first time ever, where I might and I'm probably going to be streaming this game with other people who are excited for it, that adds also a different little layer to this, because I've never been a part of a community when a Todd Howard game has launched day one. So for me, this is a little bit different, but my God, PTK, I just can't wait. August 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. I'm all about it, man. I'm going to be in character creation for God knows how long.
Man.
It's just going to be a blast, man. I just want to get my hands on this game, and it's going to be extra special. And I already know, again, like I said, right now, Baldur's Gate 3 is a GOAT for me. I can clearly say by the time I get done with Baldur's Gate 3, it'll probably be one of my top 10, maybe top 5 games all time. It is already itself being considered a generational type game. We know the Nintendo fans believe that Tears of the Kingdom is a generational game for them, which is fine. That's their opinion. I'm all about them having that as well. But the fact is, we might have another one. We're on the cusp of it. Something I believe will define this generation when we look back and we say Starfield hit, and my God, we're still playing it, and we're still going to be planning on playing it for another 5 years, 10 years, whatever, as the modding community gets their hands on this. I think this is a moment in time that I won't forget as a gamer. And I know that's dramatic, but that's why I'm podcasting. That's why I'm in this community, is because that's how much passion I have for video gaming. I've been doing this for 40 plus years, gaming. I love this industry. I love this hobby. These moments, these types of games do come along once per generation where we look back and I go, my God, I'm so happy I was around to play that damn game. That's going to be the same for me on Starfield when it launches.
Awesome. I fucking love to hear that, dude. Like, it's chat. You guys got to understand what's going on here. Like, the golden age of gaming, Pong, you spoke this to existence years ago, my dude. Like, this is where we're at right now. This is what we wanted. This is exactly what we wanted, man. And this is crazy because you talk about Starfield rising above the sea of greatness that we're seeing in 2023, and is actually going to continue in 2024 as well. I hope people realize this isn't the end. This is actually the beginning of this. This is going to start happening year after year after year, hopefully. And I hope we don't get numb to it, Pong. I mean, that's the only thing I can ask for. We don't get numb to the consistency of the greatness that we're seeing, man, because the bar keeps going up. And Starfield is something I've never experienced before personally, chat, like I said before. And I'm gonna throw this back to you, Math, too, because I don't quite know your RPG background. I know you love RPGs. You do the strategy RPGs, the CRPGs. You do, third person, whatever the case may be, JRPGs even to a point. But what is your background? And how does that make you more excited for Starfield because of your RPG background?
Oh man, I mean, my background with RPGs originally dates back to the JRPGs from like the Final Fantasy and stuff like that. That was kind of the roots, and that started way back on like Super Nintendo and stuff. There was some really great ones back then, but then PlayStation 1 had so many great like new franchises, and it had some of the best JRPGs of all time. And then around that time also that like I really started to try and get into PC gaming as well. And there was the Diablos, the originals. Then I got into a game called Neverwinter Nights that was actually a kind of spiritual successor to the original Baldur's Gates made by BioWare. And it's still one of my top games of all time, and I kind of fell in love with like the skill trees and like the openness of it, and the choices of character and dialogue and all these kind of things. And then something else happened. Well, I knew a guy that had a copy of Morrowind, right? And he was playing. I was like, "What is this game? You know, like this is different. Like I haven't seen a RPG like this before. You know." And I was like, "Okay, well maybe I'm gonna have that on my radar." So I kind of played it later than I should have. But Oblivion came out, and then I was there for that like day one. Like,
Yeah.
Oblivion changed the game for me because it was that game of possibilities. You could kind of go wherever you want to do whatever you wanted. Your skill tree and
So Oblivion took my best friend away from like playing Halo.
oh yeah, and
Like we were knee deep in Halo, and he disappeared.
yeah. Oh, I
Yeah, like
abandoned Halo around that time too. Like
yeah.
it just
I
I
was like, what the hell happened? Like, why are you not playing Halo anymore? And he's
that's
like,
when I
I'm
became
playing Oblivion. I'm like, what is that?
yeah.
And
It holds up today, man. Like there's rumors of that remake for it, right? That is coming out. So God, I hope it's true, because it's one of my all-time favorites as well. But that's when I became aware of Todd Howard because I started like, you know, listening to things about this game, reading things about it, you know, talking about it. Then there was like the whole horse armor controversy that came out about it. So
yeah.
you saw a lot more interviews and talks about that stuff. But I really learned and became a Bethesda fan then and understood what made a Bethesda game with the Oblivion. So then Fallout 3 happened, and I was like all excited for that because I was like, oh, I know who's making this game, right? Like I know all about these guys. You know, then the history of Skyrim. You know, that was a huge launch. That was a moment. Like I remember getting the first an announcement for Skyrim, and they had a Game Informer magazine, and you had to try and cipher what the words were on it because there was like the secret code, and it turns out the puzzle spelled Dragonborn, right? And I was like all into that, dude, and I was super excited for Skyrim, and it became also one of my favorites. So Fallout 4 happened. I wasn't as big into Fallout 4 as some of the other ones, but Bethesda is a very special studio to me. And that's why I was always getting frustrated. And I was putting up videos like a couple years ago about like why I'm excited for Starfield. And when everybody had the conversations of like, what you don't even know what Starfield is. Why would you be excited for Starfield? Of like, you people don't understand who is making this game. They forgot who they were. And
hey, look, Pong's been beating the same horse like forever. Like people just that's what makes him like indestructible. Like Pong walks around with that like it's armor. Like it doesn't bother him at all that people think these things because he just okay, they're gonna remember at some point. Like they're going to
Me and Pong had so many conversations about that back in the day, dude. It was like, man, people just forget. Like, there's short-term memory, and like they're gonna remember at some point, you know. But like, it took I think the Xbox showcase, the Starfield Direct, to really bring the mainstream into it. Yeah, and once they were like, oh, this isn't like a Fallout 76 thing or whatever. This is like a real deal. Actual single player massive Bethesda RPG again that we haven't got since Skyrim. And everybody's like, wow, but this is the third pillar in space this time. And it's like an end all be all space RPG, just like Todd said it was going to be to begin with, and all these different things. And it's like Pong and I and like other people that we know like understood what this game was going to be the second that Todd Howard said he wanted to make a game in space. Right? Like that was understood for me, just who's making it, the pedigree, the kind of games that they make, and then seeing it come to fruition now and seeing that grand vision actually coming to reality is on another level for me. Like I think we're gonna get. Pong was talking about like how all these Bethesda games have like these two grand moments, or the one grand moment where you step out into the world, right? And Todd said that there's two in this game, right? Which is unique because usually, like, I remember in like Oblivion, like you leave the prison, right? You step out there, you know. In Skyrim, you also you're about to be beheaded, right? And then you follow a guy, and then it opens the world up, and it kind of has that moment, and you know all of these games have this. Yeah. Then you have the Fallout 3 and 4. Like you step out of the vault for the first time, and it's like, whoa. But this one's gonna have 2.
Yeah.
So for me, those moments are always special in these games. And I think we talked about this a little bit. The part of the reason that people remember and like that whole like horse cart thing even works with that joke that the guy made is because people actually start these games over several times. So
Correct.
those openings, like people don't mind starting a Bethesda game from scratch because it's so special, right? And we're gonna get to those moments. I think there's different possibilities, and we've kind of speculated on this in the past, right? But I was listening to Pong mention that, and I kind of wanted to chime in on it. So I think the first moment is going to be that typical moment where like you're in the city and you see the city, right? And it's like, wow, this is grand. Like you look up, you see the verticality and the scale of the buildings and how impressive and amazing everything is, and beautiful. I think the second one, because like the best space movies and the best movies and stuff that really give you that feeling of like going into space, put you in the ship and have that moment where it takes off and blasts off, and then you enter space for the first
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
And you want to talk about truly opening the world, your world to possibilities. Is that moment when you enter into space and you see
And
this
you realize
planets
I can
around
go
you, and
anywhere and do
exactly,
anything. Like
and it gives you control of the ship. Yeah,
that
like
is the biggest canvas and bucket of paint in the history of video games.
yeah, and it's got one of the best artists ever to actually paint that picture for us. So, dude, I'm pumped, man. But like, love RPGs, loving Baldur's Gate 3 right now. It's a dream game for me. Also, I'm still loving Diablo 4, and but Starfield has been my most anticipated RPG since honestly since Skyrim.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
for
big.
sure.
That's big. And I want to make sure we get Fuzz in on this, man. Now, Fuzz, you've heard the panel, right? And like I said, I'm the novice here. These two gentlemen that just spoke are way light years ahead of me regarding this RPG stuff. You're probably ahead of me as well too. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that because I'm the novice here. But just hearing that, knowing your RPG background, hearing all the nonsense about Starfield, but actually, it's getting to the point to where that bubble is getting so big, it's starting to like self-insulate itself, and that's what like generational games do. They get so big, they get so like the positivity is so overwhelming that it just muffles everything else out. And I really feel like as you know, as determined as some people are to like make this game not what it is, it's going to be so big that that's not even going to matter for us.
Well, the thing that always cracks me up is when people try to downplay or badmouth a game that, one, they haven't even played, and two, it hasn't even released yet. Like we don't know entirely what this game is going to be, but we have a good idea based on the pedigree of the developer, and we have from their hints as well as even the dev direct that they showed, the deep dive of the game, 45 minutes of a lot of the mechanics and whatnot in the game, as well as the Q&As that they've done, some of the lore that they've published on their site. You know, we have now a very good idea what to kind of expect, but with this being your like traditional Bethesda RPG, just basically in space, and knowing a lot of the tools and stuff that they've implemented in this game, considering technically you couldn't make this type of game prior, or at least from the standpoint of the scope of this game, the size of having vast areas of space where you're going to have handcrafted as well as procedural stuff intertwined with story quests and living NPCs, well, not living, but like with NPCs with lives and tasks and things that you can follow, or the persistent world itself. It boggles my mind that people would, the first thing that they want to focus on are, things that don't even really matter, like the start menu. Like, how many people sit in a start menu more than, a couple of clicks to see, oh, well, let's see if there's, some
Nobody.
options I want to change, or, if I want to turn off subtitles or whatever the case may be. You would expect people would be, encouraged or enthused for a game that of this caliber to come out. Like I always try to take a step back and look at it as if I was still just a PlayStation guy. I would want this game to succeed so much so that some studio at Sony releases a similar style game. Like for all of those that are like, well, I hope Cory Borlog is working on a space game. It's like you guys should be championing this so that way when they start announcing the game for PlayStation, it would be something that you can give your feedback like, hey, well, we want to be able to fly from the planet or whatever the case may be. This is a chance to celebrate a big RPG or big game that's going to have influence on games coming after it, much like what Bethesda's done in the past. So I don't get the negativity other than it's for console war and clicks and whatnot. And that's fine, but be honest with yourself. If you're purposely avoiding playing this game, it's I wouldn't say it's like causing harm to yourself, but it's like why hinder yourself when you can play this on your PC, which a lot of them claim they have. Why do I need an Xbox if I have a PC? It's like play it on your PC. Go in there with the open mind that this is a space exploration game. And we've all, when we were younger, whether we went to space camp or not, there was probably a time in almost every kid's life when they were like, yeah, I would like to do that. And whatever prevented us from doing that, so be it. But that's that wonder, that unknown that we always talk about. And even if you look at like what we see in the news today about alien spaceships or unidentified flying objects and things like that, there's always this fascination what's beyond what we can see on this planet kind of thing. So a game that's going to throw you in the middle of that and you kind of create your own story, and they're going to there's going to be some main rails as far as like the main part of the story. But as anybody knows, with a lot of open like world sandbox RPGs and things like that, you can go off to the side and create your own way of doing things, and not necessarily derail the whole story, but you have the power at your fingertips to enjoy the sandbox, which much like with Grand Theft Auto 5, it's like, oh, I can run a criminal organization in the city, or I can like some people do as far as on PC, you could role play as a cop or a truck delivery guy or whatever the case is. This game is going to have that aspect, but just above and beyond just the planet Earth kind of deal. And that alone, whether you're a previous Bethesda fan or not, that has to be at least somewhat interesting to at least take a peek at it or give it a go. And that to me, beyond the already excitement that I had for this game, being a sci-fi nut, I'm more of the Trek guy more than Star Wars. Love them both, but Star Trek always seemed like the more realistic one. Not that force powers is above and beyond my comprehension kind of thing. And I like the fact that we kind of saw teasers of something like that in this game. So all of that combined just has my like excitement meter above and beyond what can be expected. Like there have been games like this before. Like I was huge for The Division. As someone that was in the military as far as Army Reserves, it was like, all right, there's that aspect, and it's like, oh, you're reserved, so you do your civilian work normally, and you get called up. And that's what appealed to me about The Division, and the fact that it was in New York where I was born and raised, and it was just a whole bunch of things about that game that appealed to me. Just being the sci-fi kid into Star Trek, seeing similarities as far as you're able to work on building your crew, you're able to do exploration. There are different factions you're going to have to deal with, whether you join them or fight them or whatever the case may be, or double spy or whatever the case. All of that is just so interesting to the point where I plan on probably pulling a few 8-hour days of just no life in this game for the most part, if not more than 8 hours. I mean, yeah, you got to eat, yeah, you got to sleep and whatnot, but yeah, there's just so much I'm going to wind up trying to do in this game. And to address like the review aspect, I'm kind of glad I don't have to worry about like any embargoes or anything like that. Like it'd be cool to play it, but like you said, you'd be biting your tongue because everybody's going to be poking at you. Hey, what about this? And you're going to want to talk about it because your experience of, hey, I was able to get this ship they were attacking my original ship and I boarded their ship and wiped out the crew, and all those stories are going to be like our legend in this game. And that's the thing that's going to be like the water cooler moment at the office, or just the excitement you'll see on social media of posting pics. Like, I already know the fact that this thing's going to have a photo mode.
Photo mode, yeah, that's crazy.
I think the first thing I'm going to probably wind up starting off with is going to be the horizons, or like the sunsets and things on various planets. Just the beauty of that, and just the randomness of like the inhabited life on some planets, or some of the encounters you have. It's like, oh yeah, I was going to land my ship and all of a sudden these pirates started shooting at me before I landed, kind of thing. All of that stuff is going to be like the stuff to look forward to, as well as being that this game and Bethesda has always been famous with embracing the mod community. I look forward to a lot of these things, and I asked this question yesterday in reference to, like, I assume everybody's going to want to do at least one playthrough, see it to the end, kind of thing, or at least try to get as far as they can before starting like another playthrough. But if there was the opportunity on your second playthrough, like let's say the mod community comes up with a way to do co-op or something along those lines, would you instantly try that, or would you continue with just doing a single player playthrough as a alter, like do almost like the complete opposite of what you may have tried before, or just try things differently, make different decisions, or see if you can even get close to replicating the original story with having different, not necessarily powers, but different abilities that you focus on and things like that. And it's like just all of the potential in the base game, and then mods coming down the pipeline later. And people are going to make a Star Trek mod or Star Wars mod.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're gonna get some
Battlefield
mods
Galactica.
for sure, man.
Yeah,
all of that.
just,
Yeah.
or Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, it's just going to. I won't say it's never ending, but this is the type of game where all the naysayers out there just realize you're going to be naysaying for at least 10 to 12 years. I mean, look at the lifespan of the Fallout games. Look at the lifespan of Elder Scrolls and Skyrim. It's like you're fighting a battle that nobody is even really paying attention to, except for maybe surface noise kind of thing. So it's like it's going to be like the meme where you see people like, oh, what are you guys doing? And it's just showing the group playing games. It's like, stop having fun, and they're totally ignoring them. It's like, this is that game. This is that game that people are going to continue to play in its base form, modded form. Try different things. Just it's going to have a life of its own. And I kind of hope, and my minor prediction is that we see like an MMO version of this shortly after, which I know, as much as this game is going to probably blow our minds, having that ability in like a MMO type universe at that point, I think will be pretty much like Star Citizen on console, but with a lot more story, with a lot more context as far as an objective in the game itself, type of thing. But yeah, I pretty much wish it was the 31st, like now, type of thing. But yeah, I think the only inner battle I have now is I kind of feel like I know there are going to be points where I'm going to try to rush through stuff, just so that way I clear off some time for Forza. But I'm definitely going to wind up enjoying my time in this game, and I'm just going to have to, squeeze something out of the rotation. Like Division 2 has already been put down for now, and they had their posts about, some of the stuff that they've had to delay. Diablo might be the next victim when it comes time for Forza and my continuation of playing Starfield. So it's going to be a busy couple of months for me, busy couple of months for pretty much everybody. Like I said, I think this game it's going to have a similar buzz like what we saw with Elden Ring, but more so in the sense of it's not like that untested genre for some people like that may not have played a Souls game before or may not particularly care for it. But I think there will be something for everybody in this game, no matter what. So I totally see productivity in the workforce taking a hit for the next couple of months. Like sure. Holiday season, it might be looking a little scary where, not as many people in the stores and stuff. So, get those, overnight shipments and whatnot order it up early before the holidays. That's
Yeah.
all I gotta say.
And it's crazy because go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, no, I was just going to say real quick on something that Fuzzy touched on there and something that we've talked about too. Like what can't be understated in any way, shape, or form when it comes specifically to Bethesda games and Todd's games is those singular moments, those stories that every single person that plays this game is going to have that is going to be unique. And Starfield's on a whole nother level. And with the procedural generated stuff, I know some people aren't happy with it, whatever else. But what that does create is those fingerprint moments for everybody where you're going to be telling stories. I'm going to be telling stories about what we discovered, what we found, what happened that just other people never have experienced before in the game and may never experience in the game. There's still people playing Skyrim to this day that are finding things that nobody else has ever found before, right? That's the uniqueness. Now, we all have, from a gamer standpoint, when we play certain games, we all have those water cooler moments, right? Where we're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, right? I can't believe we did this last night. But for a single player game, RPG like this, open universe, not even just an open world, but an open universe, you're going to expand upon that exponentially. And we could sit here probably week in, week out from the time that this launches for years and come back every single Saturday night here on the Shop Podcast and go around the panel for those of us that are playing Starfield at that moment and tell a new story that week, right? Or have 10 stories that week of stuff that we did or experienced. That is what makes these games live on. That's a piece of what makes these games generational, because they don't just end. You can have fantastic games like God of War, or point out these narrative driven heavy games where people can talk about this boss battle that was just absolutely epic and everybody's experienced that boss battle. Even Elden Ring to a certain degree had that, where you finally get to that boss moment. But it's all the exploration in between with an open universe game that is going to have the specialness to it. That, again, there are going to be people that land on planets in this game that no one else lands on. And even if we all land on the same planet at the same time, our trip through that planet could be completely different, will be completely different according to Todd and the team. That's what's going to make this game live on. And again, that's the part in Elden Ring. Elden Ring was a Souls game through and through. But when they moved it to the open world, when they gave it that exploration, and I told you guys when I was playing Elden Ring that I thought From Software, for the first time out doing an open world game, came very close to that, oh my God, let me go over here and see what this is, kind of moments that you get from Bethesda and other people. Absolutely, it's been done before, but Bethesda specifically are masters at this. That feeling of wonder and excitement, nervousness of what is over that hill, what is that shiny thing, what did I just find, what did I just come across? That is what keeps these games alive for so long, and why Starfield, we're going to be talking about this for a long time, brothers, for sure.
It's crazy, and I know I want you to chime in on this, Matt, because we're gonna get into some specifics here, chat. Because not only did we get the information that Starfield went gold, and shout out to everybody, shout out to Boogie, Game Minion, everybody, Poison, everybody that's in here, man. And shout out to all of you guys. Appreciate you guys showing up for the support, man. We love it. Hope you guys are really, really enjoying the show here. But we gonna get into some specifics, man. I don't know if you got. I'm sure you saw the information, the Q&A, correct?
I didn't see everything
okay,
because I had a really busy week, but we did talk about it, and Pong kind of ran through quite a bit of this stuff.
Okay, cool, awesome. Because I was actually gonna have Pong run through it one more time, chat, just in case you missed some of the information that was dropped in this Q&A. We got some jewels, some gems, a lot of stuff that we wanted to know about, some particulars, some cool stuff, some stuff that we hadn't heard about before. But Pong, if you got it pulled up, brother, I'd like you to get into some of the little nuggets.
Yeah, I was not planning on this, but I do have it here. Hold on
All
for
right,
just
all
one
right.
It's
second,
in
but
his memory bank pretty well.
yeah, I've got a
also,
lot
yeah.
in my memory too, because I actually did I totally snuck at work. Like I shouldn't have been like watching it live, but I did like kind of watch it live through another stream and took notes on it. So it's been in my back of my skull, but I did actually bring it up I think this morning as well. So hold on for just one second here. All right, yeah, I've got some stuff here. So let's see. This is not the one I had this morning, but anyways, so yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, on top of everything that's happened this week, there was a Q&A through Discord, through the Starfield official Discord, where Will Sheen or Shine, I forget how he says his name, I think it's Sheen, and Emilio Pegalarua, God, I can't do his name, Pegalarua, both of them answered some community questions, and they actually did 16 different questions. Now, there was a lot of softballs in here. They obviously picked questions that they knew they could answer. I'm sure there was plenty of hard ones that they just avoided because it wasn't something that they were willing to answer or wanted to spoil or whatever the case. So, I was watching the Q&A. I was like, oh man, why aren't people asking about this? But I was like, obviously they probably filtered those out. But there was a couple big points that came out this week from that Q&A. Nothing mic drop per se moment or oh my god moments, but definitely some fill in the blank stuff that we didn't know definitely showed up here. We'd start right out the gate with the first question, which was buying properties in the main cities. We knew we were going to be able to build bases. Obviously, that's a big part of Starfield. But somebody actually, I hadn't really even thought about this question, but when I saw it, I was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's a great question. And sure enough, you are able to buy property in all the main cities. Now, whether that's a house or an apartment, whatever it is, they have them all in the main cities. And they also alluded to the fact that there's at least one, maybe more, that you can actually earn through quest lines, right?
Yeah.
On top
maybe
of that.
Maybe you get gifted an apartment or a house or something by somebody.
You did in Oblivion, right? Like I remember that in White Run or whatever the city's name. Yeah,
and that's why I didn't even think to ask it, because I knew we were going to build like Fallout, but then I'm like, well, of course they're going to have properties because we could do it in Elder Scrolls, right? Of course, you could buy properties everywhere. But it was cool to hear that we can do that. So, and I'm always about that. I bought all the apartments in Cyberpunk. Like, I always love that stuff. I buy the houses in Skyrim. Like, that's what you do. Plus, they give you places where you can store more stuff, right? Because I'm a hoarder, everybody in these games. So I need more places to actually do that. So that was one of the big moments that came up. Smuggling came up again, which we had, big hints at when we saw, especially like the direct and stuff. Obviously, we saw the part where you entered a major star system before landing on a planet at one of the cities, and they scanned your ship for contraband. And obviously, in the direct, they cleared, and so it was clear. And they allowed the ship to land. So somebody brought up, how is the smuggling cargo going to work? And Will said certain items are considered contraband. You will need to smuggle them past security ships that orbit major settlements. Emil said there are specific items that are considered contraband, meaning they are pretty much illegal everywhere. And yes, you can hide them using special ship modules you can purchase. So he goes on. This is a quote. So you don't get caught with those harvested organs. Okay, well, listen. I knew like Aurora is the drug in this one, right? Like skooma was the drug in Skyrim, right? Skooma was the drug of choice. Now they have Aurora. Well, I knew Aurora was going to be it, but the fact that Emil said harvested organs, I'm like, okay, then that got my brain flying. And Mav and I talked about this a lot in the PM. So is this going to be like pre-planned, like you just find a box and it says harvested organs on it, right? And you load it on your ship? Or are there going to be, if you have certain skills, the ability on dead bodies, not only to loot them for their weapons or, their med packs, but you're going to be able to take their organs as crazy. Well? That got
or
me
they're going to
thinking.
just be particular missions dedicated
Right.
to doing those things.
That's what I'm saying. Like you find a box, like that's like, you know, you just find a
Yeah,
shipment of
yeah.
organs and you just
Yeah.
take it and you deliver it or whatever the case. So that raised some questions, but how many
Maybe
other
all of them.
things of contraband are there going to be? Are there going to be weapons? Are there going to be other things that are considered contraband? But it sounds like also when he said that you got to buy ship modules, instantly I thought of Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon with the hidden under the floor panels, right? Obviously where they hid out. Those things kind of popped in my head. So definitely something for all of you criminals out there like me that I'm planning on being a pirate. This was good information. Confirm the jail system. The jail system, you're going to have guards. You're going to be able to do it just like in all the other Bethesda games. You're going to be able to talk your way out of it. You'll be able to, you know, turn over your goods, stolen goods. You'll be able to fight the guards if you want to, or you'll allow yourself to be taken to jail. And Grub put out an interesting post because we know he got a review code, and he put out a post totally ambiguous, nothing specific, but he said any game that allows you to not only go to jail but break yourself out of jail is already a 10 out of 10. So I'm assuming that he was playing Starfield and had already tested this kind of mechanic. So yes, jails are going to be there as well. They confirmed yet again, we kind of knew this, but somebody brought up the
That's
double
so
agent.
awesome, man.
It is awesome. Somebody else brought up the double agent thing, which Fuzzy brought up, and they, once again, we knew this information, but they did confirm that that is a major storyline or extra mission where you can join the Crimson Fleet. You can be a double agent, you know, and obviously go undercover, or you can actually, you know, you could actually side with the Crimson Fleet and let them know that they're being watched, right, by the UC System Defense, which is a military branch of the United Colonies. So you could betray the fleet if you wanted to, right? So interesting stuff. Again, I think that's pretty damn cool. Some people had questions about the parents. You remember you can take the trait
stuff.
that gives you parents, right?
The kid stuff is what it's called.
Yeah, the kid stuff. Thank you. I always forget the name of it. So you got to pay your parents monthly, you know, to keep them going good. But you can visit them right on Earth, which is a cool little thing that you can do. And they showed that during the direct. Some people had questions whether or not the parents were going to look like you based upon your character creation, or if they were going to be kind of generic parents. And they confirmed that they actually have a system in place that will attempt to generate parents that look like they could be based upon whatever character you create. So another nice little touch to the detail there for sure. I know some people are into the pacifist playthroughs where you don't kill anybody in these big games. Not my style. I go guns blazing. Like, that ain't happening. All right. I'm not going to be a pacifist pirate. Okay. That ain't going to work out too well. But there are some people who love to do this. I know there's some big streamers who love to do this. It gets a lot of attention because it makes it really hard to play through a game like this. Both Will and Emil confirmed that they cannot say that you can play the game 100% as a pacifist, that you will have a moment or two where you will wind up killing somebody. But they also said that if you do want to play that style, that you can play a lot of the game that way, because they're going to give you a lot of different skills to talk your way out of situations. Obviously, they're also going to give you a lot of non-lethal weapons and gadgets so you can take down people without killing them. But they said if you're talking about a 100% pacifist playthrough, that's not possible. They said there are going to be times where you wind up having to kill somebody. Companions, everybody, companions. Now, we knew about the 4 constellation companions, the 4 that you will be able to romance. They talked about that during the direct as well. They confirmed, Emil and Will said that in total, there are over 20 named companions that you can recruit. So the outside of the 4 constellation members, there will be at least 16, more than 16, that you'll be able to recruit for your ship and for your bases. You will pay them one time salary to join you. It will not be a monthly thing where you have to, on a regular basis, make sure that you have enough money to pay them. They said they didn't want to complicate things, so they're just giving everybody a one-time payment up front. They also talked about the skills that those companions possess, which we saw. They do have individual skills which can add bonuses depending on what job you assign them to, whether to your ship or to a base that you may have created. Certain skills that are applicable will stack with yours. Not every skill will stack, but certain ones.
That's a little Diablo right there.
Yeah. So
There,
you
yeah.
will get the bonus, right? Which is good to hear. Like if you bring on a crew member who is very good at space flight, and you yourself have the space flight skill, those will stack to give you extra capabilities on your ship, which is always good to know. So that was one. The last thing about the companions too, somebody asked if you could level them up. No, you can't level up your companions. They are set. So they are they won't level up. They just keep what they've got, but they've got perks and skills attached to them. So the other thing, a lot of people were wondering about the economy, because it is confirmed that you're going to be able to set up bases and run ships between them with different resources, which Todd said that would become could become an economy for you, generating income. Somebody asked if that works while you're not playing the game, if you're offline, and they said no, you got to be playing the game.
Yeah,
It's not running
online
in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, and somebody also asked, we've seen a lot of games do this when it comes to these types of economies. Certain cities or certain areas in a game will have a resource will be rare, so you can get higher prices for those resources, or vice versa. Some places it'll be plentiful and you'll get very low prices. They confirmed in here because, again, they said there's so many different systems in place, so many different mechanics. They wanted to simplify the game so that you weren't constantly worrying about stuff like that. So they said, no, the economy for the resources is set in stone. So it's the same no matter what you're playing, no matter how long you've been playing it for, it will remain the same. They said skills and negotiation techniques can increase those prices and give you more, but overall the economy is set in stone. But again, all of this gets me excited because all this stuff is already in place, which means the modding community, we're going to get a hardcore Starfield mode, which you have to monitor your fuel, which you will have an active economy. Obviously, that kind of moves with as you ship resources. All of that is going to come from the modding community. I can't wait to play hardcore Starfield mode because it's coming. I guess the last thing I'll touch on too here is the mechs. A lot of people had questions because we saw in the animated shorts that they put out, there were mechs during the Colony War. So somebody asked about the mechs, and they kind of went into lore detail here, but they did confirm that you won't have any playable mechs, that mechs have been outlawed, and that all the mechs that were around during the Colony War are in ruin or disabled, and you won't be able to fix them, you won't be able to use them. Kind of disappointing. Steel was kind of disappointed when I said that this morning. I was kind of disappointed because I thought maybe they were hinting that we could get mechs down the road, but no mechs. But they said you will come across maybe an old factory or old battlefield that you will see the mechs on. Now, the interesting lore little tidbit that they dropped in here was that the Colony War was fought, obviously, between the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies. Freestar Collective leaned heavily into the mechs. They were the tech-based group. So any of you thinking about joining one of these factions, Freestar is all about the tech, right? Steve already said this morning he's thinking about partnering up with them to see where that goes because they're all about the tech. The United Colonies had mechs too, but the United Colonies also had a Xeno Warfare division.
Yeah.
And this Xeno Warfare division, they actually leaned into using some of the alien species that we saw, right? They learned how to control them, which goes into the skill that we know
you get that ability
you can get. Yeah, that ability to control. So very interesting little lore there. So they used alien monsters, whatever you want to call them, to fight in the war alongside them. So I thought that was a cool little lore thing. So again, that's pretty much the big stuff that was dropped during the Q&A. Yeah, so there you go, brothers. What do you guys think? Anything stand out to you guys there? I know you sounded excited here, PTK, about some of this stuff. So what grabbed your attention?
So for me, like I said, being new, man, and jumping into this, like I said, I'm an open book, chat. Like you guys know me. And shout out to everybody here, the 90 plus people in here. You guys are freaking awesome. I hope you guys are enjoying the show, man. All the new people, seeing new names. Hit the like button, subscribe, man. Appreciate you guys. But I'm an open book on this. A lot of these got me excited. And like you said, none of these were like, I didn't think were possible or I didn't already kind of know about because they kind of hinted in the majority of these, but it's nice to know and get some clarification. And I think that's important with a game like Starfield because it's so massive, right? We're going to all experience different things. To getting a little bit of clarity is always a good thing. So the whole, the houses was nice, being able to buy property. That's a big deal, right? I think that changes the way you play the game a little bit. It's always an extra layer. That's another RPG layer. It's been previous Bethesda games, right? So that's pretty par for the course. The character creation, always a big deal. That they highlighted that a lot at the Starfield Direct, right? That's a big thing for people, and obviously that's going to be people are going to spend a ton of time in there. It's going to be inexcusable how much time you spend in character creation, Paul.
Oh, real quick, too, Blam, on that point. You just brought something that clicked in my head too. I forgot about this part. If you don't want to take a trait, because the traits for your background story, they said everybody starts at the same point, so your background's not going to change how the story starts for you. Okay, so do understand that. But if you don't want to take some of those traits that have a positive and a negative, or you don't want a background, they have an anonymous what they call an anonymous creation, so you can still create your character, make it look like everything, but they don't have to have backgrounds and traits. They can start out completely with like a clean slate with nothing, so you don't have to worry about that if you just want to be that type of character and you don't want to make a decision on your background or take any of those traits that come with bonuses and negatives. You can do that in this game, so don't worry about that. Just wanted to wrap that in there.
Awesome. Yep. And it's crazy the impressive amount of layers in this game too. I think that's what you highlighted just with the amount of things you just went over. This is all of this stuff is happening at the same time. I hope people realize that, Pong. Like, I'm going on a bit of a rant here. I know it's a little left, but all this stuff is happening at the same time while you're playing this game. Like simultaneously. This isn't a cut screen, one thing happened, move on to no, this is all in real time. It's just insane the amount of stuff. Let me just finish out here because I know we don't got all the time in the world, but I can talk about this all day. But the religion thing is really, really interesting to me. How that played your play style, they highlighted that as well. It was really quick. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot of people that caught it, but they highlighted that the Starfield Direct about he was a guy and they ran into some just outlaws in the middle of space in the middle of nowhere, and he was able to get by just because they were the same religion. That's really interesting. I haven't seen that. Was that in Skyrim?
As far as religions go?
Yeah. More factions in Skyrim rather than
they had all the factions in Skyrim. Okay. The factions have been a staple.
This is another layer that they've added on top of something that they've already done. Okay, so once again, breaking the mold. This is pretty consistent with this game, chat. So I want to make sure we're aware of that. So the religion thing for me is big. Companions, you get 20 available companions. Maybe that broadens at some point down the line as we get DLC. Maybe that opens up to more, but the dynamic between the companions, how many are you going to be able to like put, in certain places? Does that limit how many bases you can have? Because there's a max of 20. Can you only have so many bases because of that? Or is there some way to like have some redundancy there? Like maybe have a couple bases run autonomously where you don't have anybody there actually, working at the base. And how does that actually? So obviously they can't answer all of that. That's part of the experience. I don't want to get too crazy here because that's what we're all going to be able to find out on our own in our individual instances. And that's the beauty of this game, Chad.
You can have at least 5 bases.
At least 5.
We know and that's just that because that was part of, again, no spoilers. I'm not going to get into it, but the achievement list did leak as well this week through True Achievements.
I didn't see that.
The achievement list is out there. It does contain, obviously, spoilers, so if you don't want to see it, don't see it. But I can tell you from the achievement list, you can have at least 5 bases, which I don't think is a big, giant spoiler because that's more of a mechanic thing than anything else. But you can have at least 5 bases.
That's cool. There's no other game doing that, so I'm fine. Like, we're not getting that anywhere else, are we, chat? Like, are we? There's nobody else doing that. Have anybody? Any other game doing that? I don't really think so. So I think we're good there. But yeah, it's just I I mean, everything that's going on, the layers. I mean, those are really the things that I wanted to highlight. I mean, the mech thing wasn't. I guess it's kind of disappointing because I guess that would be really cool to be able to have mechs and upgrade them and do all these cool things to your different mechs and have like a maybe like a quartet of mechs. You know what I mean? Like maybe a contingent, your own little mini army of mechs running around on planets, destroying shit, right? Like that'd be cool, but obviously there are limits, you know what I mean, to this game, and they wanted to make sure. And I do like how they tied it back to the lore, though, Paul. You got to make sure that those are the details that you can't miss about it. But that's the game that I'm getting the experience for the first time.
And this lore is built from the ground up for the first time
and
ever.
Brand new.
Completely.
You're all seeing this.
Brand new.
This is not something that you can pull anything else from. This is new history, right? So that's a really, really important piece to chat. You got to understand like the amount of like. I don't want to rant here, Pong, but go ahead and let somebody else go, man. I'm excited for those things. There's a lot of things
I didn't know I was taking a topic, so that's why I passed it to you, Glenn, because I just heard you excited because I thought you were just going to go around the horn. But Mav, get in here with the Q&A stuff. You and I talked about it on PM and the PM, sir. We kind of went through this, and I know, like you said, you didn't get a chance. Again, there wasn't a whole lot to see. It was just questions and answers. That's all it was. It wasn't video or anything, so there wasn't a lot there. But we talked about the list. You just heard me go through a lot of it again here. What are a couple of things for everybody that caught your attention that you kind of were excited to learn about through this Q&A?
As I've planned to be an Aurora drug lord of space.
Here we go.
I love that for you, man.
Walter White of space. Let's go.
That's gonna be a good look.
Yeah, I was really excited about the modules and the smuggling, like on the ships, because it definitely beat the other way I was planning on smuggling the Aurora. I'll tell you that. I won't tell you exactly what I had planned, but this will be a lot easier on me for sure. So space smuggling is like just awesome, like actually having hidden compartments there, and then to think about like how that can change your style with having multiple bases, and you start thinking about, okay, you can have multiple drop off points or like some different people running operations on different bases and providing security, all these different aspects, man. It's just like, it gets me more than anything with the Q&A. It just starts making my wheels turn about like, how am I going to play? Like, what am I going to do? Right? Like, how big am I going to get like with this empire that you're trying to build? And like Pong's gonna do like a pirate empire, right? He's gonna try and be like the space's most famous space pirate ever of all time, I'm sure. And I'll be getting all of his guys addicted to Aurora, and then
notorious, not famous, notorious.
So it's gonna be an adventure, man. And there wasn't really any surprises really from the Q&A. The mech thing, it would be cool, but maybe there's hope for that with a mod at some point or something,
Oh, definitely.
There's
they're gonna fix that shit right away, man.
Yeah, and we already know there's planned expansion because I think the premium edition comes with the first one, right?
You get the first one. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so who knows what's planned for year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like this game is just the starting point for something that's going to be growing over the next decade. And then we all know how Xbox and Microsoft treats all their games. Like they update them frequently. They keep adding content. Look at games like State of Decay 2, right? Like just constantly evolving and changing and adding new stuff. Like, so you take that same kind of idea and apply it to a game like Starfield. It's like, man, I can't wait. I'm gonna be lost for sure. And I think 20 companions is quite a bit actually for a game like this, because if you really think about it, like that's you having like 20 different people that you can move around to have different roles within your empire organization.
All those layers of complexity, man.
Whatever. Yeah. It adds so much. And I think, what was it, 4 of them are going to be like romanceable companions. Like, so they're going to have like your main constellation crew. So those would probably have a lot more dialogue options and a lot more fully fleshed out kind of as well. So there's going to be a lot of things to look forward to do in this game. And my mind just goes to like, what am I going to do after I conquer and become the Walter White of space. What's next for me? You know what I mean? I gotta have a second life somewhere. So I'm looking forward to it.
And the companions, they did specifically state that they knew how important companions were from their other games, and they wanted to build upon that, so they put a lot of effort into the companions. And like Mav was just talking about it, they insinuated that even the other ones outside of the Constellation crew are going to have their background stories, are going to be fleshed out companions. And so I'm expecting maybe not as big a side stuff as those 4 main ones, but I think that there's going to be some side missions that you can run with these other companions as well, and kind of get their history as well, and kind of really get to know them, because they did make a big point. And the other little tidbit about the companions, again, now I'm remembering things as I go here again too, is that they said they're keeping all the voice actors for the companions secret. And I just want to throw this out there, everybody. You guys might not all remember this, but we talked about this enough. Mav and I specifically talked about this back about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. There was a little rumor that sprung up out of nowhere. And again, when you start getting closer to launch, you remember these things. Now that they said that they are keeping all the voice actors secret until launch, and they are excited for people to find out who the voice actors are, there was a rumor about 2 years ago that Tom Cruise was going to be in this game.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Be insane, dude.
Just
that
saying.
would be crazy.
Like, what happens if, like Mav said, what happens if, go ahead, Mav, go ahead. What happens if more companions are famous, right?
Like Space Maverick. Dude, oh my God. Could you imagine like the best pilot in the galaxy?
That got me thinking. That's a hell of a that's crazy to consider that could actually be a thing. There could be a bunch of celebrities that we're completely unaware of.
You could have like Ryan Reynolds cracking jokes, like as a man. There's so many possibilities. It's crazy.
Man.
And it's Bethesda.
Shout out to the over 100 people in chat, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Breaking records here. Shout out to you guys. Let me get to the super chat before you continue, Pong. I know we got to get the fuzz here.
Yeah,
too.
we got to get the fuzz.
Let me get the super chat. Shout out to Gerald Mack, the $5 super chat. Said just showing some support. Shout out to the Graybeards, we them boys. We outside the Xbox World Order is fully operational. Shout out to you, Gerald, man. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. But continue, Pong. Go ahead, bro.
Absolutely. No, I think it's interesting little tidbit. We'll see. Don't everybody run with it, get your hopes up.
I know.
But it was just crazy that they specifically said we're keeping them secret until launch. We haven't told anybody who the voice actors are, and we're really excited for people to hear them and find out who they are.
Also,
that
with the main companions, usually there's a story that involves them, that with quests, and some of the factions actually a lot of times will involve the factions in the past Bethesda games as well, right? So there's a strong possibility that they could be a bigger part of the story with all of that too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they are going to be for sure. I think there's some already hints and stuff that people have seen through the videos that alludes to the fact that some of your companions are a little bit more famous than you may think they are up front, right? So I definitely think there's going to be a part of it. So absolutely. So Fuzz, Q&A, Starfield, again, what did you pull out of there? Anything you got kind of, pique your interest or get your ears perked up there? What do you think?
Oh yeah, a couple of quick things like the jail or prison system, and the fact that you can be a fugitive, being a bounty hunter on one end of things or a fugitive on the other end of things. That's a nice thing to mix into the overall, where you may have to look over your shoulder depending on where you go. And the fact that you could either pay a fine or fight your way out or purposely get caught to get somebody busted out of prison kind of thing. Just the possibilities in that, where you might just go to this planet that may seem like a random, boring, it's a prison planet or a prison guard station kind of thing. It's like, no, you know what? You can have your own mission where, one of the people that's in there might be the mastermind to help you become like a Walter White or something like that within the game. So you work your way to getting them busted out of there, or just the fact that you could either be rewarded property or buy property in some of the cities. Like imagine instead of, solely focusing on the main part of the story, you wind up going to a planet where one of the cities is kind of like a cyberpunk-esque kind of city, and you get an apartment there. You could just focus on being, part of the story, just like either doing missions there or one of the things I was thinking of, like when they showed in some of the shorts where the guy was kind of like a bounty hunter pilot.
Yes.
Like he would look out his window, drink his coffee, see somebody take off, and then he's got to go after him type of thing. Like there's just endless things that you can do with a lot of the stuff that they hinted at that Q&A and stuff. And like you said, some of it was like softball questions and stuff, but as far as the stuff that they were able to reveal, like the number of companions and things like that, it still gives me hope that I'm going to have my little mini fleet. Like hopefully you can have like a smaller crew per ship, like maybe 4 or 5 individuals. So if I can have 20, all right, everybody mount up, grab these other 3 ships. We're going to, go in a little mini squadron kind of thing, going out there and wrecking havoc or something to that effect. But
that's interesting too. How much control are you going to be able to have over the actions of everything else when you're not around, right? Like how much how many direct orders can you give, you know what I mean? Like autonomously give these companions, right?
Yeah, and it's just so much stuff that I can't wait to try. As far as what they've talked about so far, and just my overall ideal for what I want to do in this game. But like I said, I'm looking forward to having like my ranch or farmhouse on one of these planets, at least every so often visiting it, taking the pictures of the sunset, posting those as like potential wallpapers for my PC and stuff. But the traits and stuff, like with the kid stuff one, where you have to check on your parents every so often, which I kind of want to have that, but then that might make you more vulnerable because then those would be a target if you do become an outlaw. So they'll if they can't get you, they'll get your parents, and you might have to bail them out or rescue them, kind of thing and whatnot. But just I can't wait for this game. Like the mech thing, I'm not even disappointed on that one because I would say between the mod community and the fact that you can, like some of the stuff we saw is when they did the deep dive on the ships, you can kind of make a ship look like a mech. It may not be the prettiest mech, but you can kind of make your ship look like something along those lines. But I'm curious to see, like if we'll be able to do near air combat, like without having to go out into the atmosphere in some cases and things like that. I have a gut feeling we'll probably be able to do that. So yeah, just make a ship that looks like a mech. It's just they'll be in hover mode always, and do your fights above the ground that way. But man, so much stuff, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. They're not even really probably scratching the surface of the stuff that we're going to encounter. And with the mention earlier, as far as like the 2, big moments, as far as like stepping out into probably the wild blue yonder or the depths of space, and having 2 of those moments, and probably some of it centered around the whole artifact stuff that they had talked about earlier. I want to see if it's just like one of those ideas, and not to be a spoiler, but there was like somebody posted what the name might be for the DLC coming up, and it's like, can you imagine having it where it's a multiverse type of aspect where you do your main part of the story, and then the continuation is like, okay, what if you can break into one of the other multiverses or something like that, and that's what's the undoing for that part of the DLC, or just speculating what that might even be. But basically the 31st can't get here soon enough. I've rambled enough.
Imagination's running wild.
Man,
I love it, guys.
yeah.
I love it.
Can't help it, chat. And shout out to everybody in chat too. I'm seeing a bunch of new people. Red Monkey, Mari, everybody, man. Shout out to you guys. Hope you enjoying the show. Hope you come back next week, hang out with us from here on out. But hit the thumbs up button. Go ahead, Pong. I didn't want to cut you off, bro. Go ahead.
No. That's it. Again, the Q&A was great. It filled in a couple blanks here and there, and definitely did its job. Again, I kind of like that they don't want. I mean, again, me as the kid who just wants to open up all those presents, I want to know everything. I love in-depth breakdown of every single mechanic that's involved in this game. But the fact that they are keeping it close to the vest in a lot of ways. Again, we know nothing. We haven't even touched on the fact that there are some type of space magic force powers in this game. That's a whole thing that we know nothing about outside of that little glimpse we got at it. So the fact that they are doing this leading up, again, this is a part of the mystique of Bethesda. Like, what am I going to find once I get the full game in my hands? But this Q&A did a nice job, filled in some more blanks for us. A lot of lore came out of this Q&A, which was nice to see. Again, you touched on the religions.
I need the lore, man.
The fact that they said that there are real world, you're going to come across people that are still practicing real world religions from today in our real lives. They said that, and then they've got these new kind of religions that have sprung up. And there's in fact a whole group that is basically atheist as well out there, and kind of those conflicts. They talked about government, law, religion, all being a big part of what you're going to find in this universe. And they said there are going to be many missions with overarching themes that kind of explore those different segments of what would really be something that we find out. Again, this is grounded in reality, folks. This NASA punk feeling. Bethesda, once again, one of the best world builders out there, some of the best lore makers out there, are writing this from the ground up scratch. They are creating this whole huge universe. I can't wait to see what else we find out by exploring and by talking to NPCs and by reading books that they've written and all sorts of stuff. This is going to be a complete experience. This is going to be life on August 31st going forward. So I can't wait.
So I want to get into something else too before we wrap it up. Once again, shout out to everybody, man. It's been a phenomenal show. I love, and this is the power of Starfield, people. We got 100+ people in here, man. This is the power. This is the turnout.
The energy this week has been
energy has been insane. Every single podcast you go to, and please go check out, all your local podcasters, man. Shout out to everybody out there doing the damn thing. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you on, man. So, but yeah, it's the energy, and this only happens with a game like this, right, Pong? You don't get this very often. This has happened 3-4 times this year. That's crazy. Like that never happens. And I want to throw another thing out there. I don't want to get lost in the sauce. Something that's very, very important. It's a big clapback that I cannot miss, Mav. We cannot miss the clapback here. So the fact that they're actually giving out the review copies early.
Yeah.
So the quality was in question from day one about Bethesda and what we were gonna get out of this game. And oh my God, look at the frame rate. Oh my God, look at the shooting mechanics. This is terrible. I can't watch this. Like, what is this, stop motion? Like, I can't watch this stuff. Like, you heard all of that stuff, right? Yeah. Like that, and it comes out, the game gets put out there early. They're so confident in what they already got put together. This game's been run through every single possible filter. And Phil's came out himself and said, we had everybody on this. Sorry, Redfall, but you had to take the fall for this. Like, literally, like, you had to, sorry. I'm sorry, but this has to be great. Yeah. Right? So, like, this has to happen. So I want to make sure we don't get that lost, but I'm gonna go around a panel. I want each one of you guys to talk about that as well. The confidence in Bethesda. And Pong, you've always said this, and this is, once again, this is part of the armor. I think this is the helmet portion of your armor that you put on it. This is what this is what the A team does. Why is anybody expecting anything different? And not only is this the A team, this is not the same Bethesda. This is Bethesda plus Microsoft. So,
and this is Bethesda 20 years later, right? With a ton of experience underneath their belt. One of the most core experience groups in devs anywhere, as far as the core group that has stuck together this entire time through Fallouts, through Elder Scrolls. It's a different level when you're talking about this crew. And again, it's a teachable formula that they have created that they are now bringing up hundreds of other younger devs into, and you can see the maturity that they're showing. This is everything they've learned up to this point put into one game, a brand new IP in Starfield. And that's what you're seeing, the culmination of decades of work right here. It's incredible,
man. See, I mean, what can you say? And all the doubters, all the naysayers. Once again, we don't got this in hand just yet, and I know we're gonna get this information very shortly, people. Like, very, very shortly, we're gonna get some in-depth detail. All the reviews are gonna come flooding out. Everybody's gonna start talking about it. So obviously, we're gonna get like real-time information. But Mav, just the confidence for them to put up the reviews early. Not only is that appropriate, right? I would say that's a great word for this situation. Appropriate for a game this size. Not only is that appropriate, Math, but also the confidence this shows in the light of the whole bug Bethesda. We expect a ton of bugs. Now, I'm not saying there won't be. We don't have that information yet, Mav. You being co-mayor, maybe you do, but we can't talk about that on air, obviously. But where you at on this, man, Mav?
Well, it goes to kind of, and I'll give you my thoughts on this real quick before I gotta go because I have to.
Yeah. I know you gotta head out.
But
yeah.
It goes to my remembering what Phil and Matt Booty said when Grubb was interviewing them after the Xbox showcase, and they mentioned that this was going to be, and as it was in that point in time, the most polished Bethesda game ever at launch. So that already told us that they had a lot of confidence, because that's a bold statement to make, right? Publicly in an interview after you just showed and had that
He
developer
chuckled
direct.
too. He laughed it off. Huh?
It's also surprising, like, the commitment that they had to this game to make sure it's where it was, because they didn't necessarily have to delay it that whole year. Right, with everything that we're learning about how polished it is, like, there's a reason I think, but the term Bethesda existed. They never been under Microsoft in this situation before, right? To have that extra time and the extra support. Well, they've had support from Xbox before, but this is probably another level. You know what I mean? Like, remember Phil said, they got their engineers in there early, with Starfield, even before they were acquired, and you could imagine after the acquisition was there, like, it just took off to another level to make sure everything was polished and good with this game. And that's kind of what some of the early impressions are. Like, there's a reviewer, Tyler McVickers, that let some stuff go on his Discord and stuff, saying that he played for like 15 hours, didn't come across a bug yet. And there's bugs exist in every game. So this game will have bugs in it, just like every game that exists. But that's unusual for a Bethesda launch release, right? On one of these big single player RPGs. So they have the utmost confidence in it, and it's showing. The other thing is the scale of this game. If they wanted any chance of having like reasonable reviews of like any kind of insight into what this game is at launch, they had to get it out there 2 weeks early before that launch date, because this official launch date September 6th, but a lot of people, there's gonna be millions that are getting the premium upgrade and the premium edition to do the early release. They'll be either playing August 31st or September 1st. So to get 2 weeks in advance of that gave I think enough time to have plenty of reviews out. And we also know there was some press that had it even before then, right? Because there was already rumblings from some of the other people that had been playing the game before that time. So it's good to see. I love the confidence, and this is a unique situation for Bethesda. That's, if I could point to anything different for like this launch compared to like a Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, or Morrowind, any of their games in the past, this aspect of the confidence of the potentialness of it, how polished it is, making statements from Microsoft executives saying how polished it is and all these different things. That's another level. They want to shed the Bethesda moniker, I think. Not too much. I still want some fun bugs. Let's got. Hopefully, they have at least one ridiculously fun,
sterile, right,
stupid
man?
thing in there. Yeah, I want to have some one moment that just makes me die laughing. Right?
Yeah.
I hope so. But anyway, man, it's been real, guys. Thanks for having me, PTK.
Yeah, no worries, man.
But sorry, I gotta dip.
No,
But
I know.
I gotta make sure it gets
we'll,
close.
we'll make sure people know where to find you, Mav. If you guys don't know, chat, please, on Mav's way out, the round of applause, chat. I want to see the clap emojis in the chat right now. Round of applause for Fun Speculation hanging out with us, man. It was a phenomenal show. Shout out to you, brother. We're gonna roll out the red carpet. That's our brother. So go follow him. All his information is in the description, man. So round of applause, chat, in the claps in the chat. But go ahead, Mav.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Have a good one. Check it out, Fun Speculation YouTube, and you guys are amazing. I love every single one of you, and I'll talk to y'all real soon. Peace out.
Later, brother.
Awesome,
Later,
Mav.
Mav.
We'll talk to you later. We're talking, and we're not quite done yet, Chad, as Mav exits on stage left, but we're gonna keep this thing going just a little bit longer because I can't not stop thinking about Starfield, and there's a couple other things. And if you guys want to throw us a couple questions, there's one more topic specifically I want to go over, but if you guys want to drop us a couple quick questions, we'll answer, Starfield related questions, no big deal, whatever the case may be. And shout out to everybody, all the new people I'm seeing in chat too. You guys are amazing. Hopefully you subscribed and hit that like button. Hopefully you're enjoying the show and you're going to come back and hang out and do this every single week with us here at the Shop Podcast. But my brothers, my two right-hand man, the people I adore the most in the gaming community, Pong, Fuzz, I got a question for you two gentlemen, right? This is a logistics question, Pong. You're going to like this, Pong. You like logistics, right? You like numbers, things like that, right?
Let's go.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. We're gonna play a little fantasy football when it comes to Starfield. We talked about Baldur's Gate 3. We saw the streaming numbers, concurrent users, things like that. What are the odds Starfield breaks those what Baldur's Gate 3 did from a streaming standpoint? What do you think? You over under on Starfield breaking those concurrent viewer records?
I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll say over. I think it will break it. I think it has a potential to hit 1 million concurrent, which again, it would be gigantic even for Bethesda, right? I mean, if you look back at the history of their games, they've had some big numbers, but again, we are in a different day and age. This is 2023.
Yeah.
It has been a long time since we've gotten this type of game. The landscape of the industry has changed. The landscape of streaming has changed. This is, again, the biggest that this industry has ever been is right now, today, right? So there's never been more players than right now. So I think with all of that, with the numbers that we saw that Hogwarts did, that Baldur's Gate 3 came close to beating Hogwarts for the highest concurrent viewers, very close. I think it was within 4,000 or whatever the heck it was. Super close. I think that Starfield, with it being available, again, because we're just talking, when we talk these numbers, this is just Steam, right? So
yeah, just Steam. Yeah.
This is just Steam. I think it does have the potential, with the hype, with the amount of content that can be created from Starfield, a game like this, every single streamer having a different experience than the next one over, really does lends itself to that whole model when it comes to why people love to stream, why people love to watch streamers. And so I think that Starfield could be the biggest one. So yeah, I think it has the potential to go over 1 million concurrent streamers. Opening weekend, official opening weekend, I definitely think it has that chance. So I'll take the over on this one.
I love that. I'm going over too. I know you're going to go here, Fuzz, as well, but I'm taking the over on that one too. And for every single reason that you just named, Pong, including some additional ones here, I just think it lends itself to like streaming and just the exploration aspect. It's so fucking massive that anything can happen at any point in time, and that fact is going to draw people in to watch this on stream on Steam. People watch it on streaming, Twitch, things like that. Those platforms are gonna explode. I think we haven't seen anything like this. I mean, in probably almost ever, Pong. I believe you're right that I think it's gonna be over 1 million concurrent viewers as well. Or players, viewers. I think it's gonna break a ton of different records, man. It lends itself to that type of like viewership. You know what I mean? Like the game is so vast. We're gonna have so many questions, and like you said, because everybody's instance is different, I can play and watch somebody else. We can be doing the same exact thing and having a completely different experience. Like that almost never happens. Like how many times can you do that in video games? Like most times, if I watch somebody play Fortnite or any pretty much any of these other games, we're having a like 90% similar experience, right? Like that's pretty normal.
Correct.
In this game, it might be completely different, and we're in the same exact location. Different weather, maybe different time of day. Maybe there's something there that wasn't there, or in your instance, a building, a faction. Who knows? Like that's crazy to think that you could go to a ton of different streams and see complete. It's just that aspect to me is going to be that's the cherry on top, and I think that's why I always said Starfield had the highest potential out of every single game this year. And that just because it's just the biggest like bucket of paint and canvas you could possibly give a gamer.
Yep, 100% agreed. And again, you saw with Baldur's Gate 3 being a CRPG, not even a style game most people normally watch, whereas you got Starfield, which is an action-based, RPG, like you said, that where it's limitless what you could find, almost limitless what you could find, what could happen during a stream, what those streamers could be doing with their time in that game can all be different. You can be role playing within a single player RPG, taking on, the whole, I'm a space pirate mode, and that's what your stream is all about, or I'm, running cargo or running contraband across the galaxy, or I'm bounty hunting, or I'm simply living my life in the city, like Fuzz brought up before. The opportunities for what people can do in the stream is on another level, and I think that that's what's going to happen. So I think that's why we're going to see that many people.
All right, go ahead, Fuss.
I think it's definitely going to be over. And I was trying to see if I could find my prediction for it before, because I was saying when Baldur's Gate was at like 600,000, I see them topping out somewhere around 800,000 or 900,000. I didn't realize they would reach 1 million like they did, but I definitely think Starfield on Steam will hit up to, like, I would say up to 2 million after a couple of weeks, if not like shortly thereafter. Like I think it was something along the lines of like,
You think
it
it's
will
going to be
match.
that much bigger?
Yeah, I do from a PC standpoint, only because of it being a broader appeal. Like there was a lot of like
I understand.
FOMO that helped bump those numbers up to some extent for Baldur's Gate 3. And then there were a lot of people that bought the game that probably weren't playing at that point in time because other games or work schedules and whatnot. So I didn't think when it was at 600,000 that was like its ultimate peak. I knew it had a lot more legs to it, but I think Starfield is going to be a bit bigger in the sense that we have to remember how big the PC community is for Bethesda games. So I think even though there's going to be a lot of us on console, a lot of people via Game Pass, but just on Steam, especially considering how much easier it'll probably be as far as mods through Steam as opposed to the Microsoft Store. I think you see over 2 million within a short period of time. It may not be the launch weekend, but I know with a lot of people going for the early access, don't be surprised if it tops out like the launch numbers on the early access aspect. Come, was it Thursday or Friday? I totally expect somewhere around 600,000 that launch day, and then it just building up until it hits about 2 mil within like give or take a week or two. But yeah, this game, as much buzz as there is about Baldur's Gate 3, I think you'll see equal, if not more so. Well, definitely more so once people start getting their hands on Starfield. And it's no slight of Baldur's Gate 3. It's done a phenomenal job. They're definitely setting a bar for CRPGs and things like that. But I do think the space appeal to this game, or the sci-fi aspect, basically a launched Star Citizen, let's say, kind of thing. I think that's going to have its own draw, and just the fact that it's a Bethesda, potential, pillar game. Yeah, I think this thing sees 2 million within a short period of time.
I love that. That's crazy too. I did not, Pong. I don't know if you're at 2. That's two is crazy. I don't know about 2, but
that would be. That would be unbelievable if it did that. I mean, I love Fuzzy's enthusiasm, and I, obviously never say never in this industry. Obviously, we've seen it plenty of times, right? You got CS:GO that still hits, 1 million concurrent players, right? So it's crazy. It's out there. It's in the universe. Like, it's way out there in the universe. But I love Fuzzy's enthusiasm. But is it absolutely zero possibility? No, it's not absolutely zero possibility. This thing, if it comes out and it is the best, what is considered the best Bethesda game of all time, at the end of the day, that's certainly a possibility, because that would be something where everybody and their grandmother decides they have to jump in to see what everybody else is talking about. Because again, if you go through Bethesda's history, having generational games, multiple games of the year, again, games that people still to this day 15 20 years on still say this is the greatest game I've ever played in my entire life, and you say that Starfield comes out and beats all of them, yeah, certainly, possibly that could happen, right? That definitely could. Sure.
That's insane. So let's get to a couple questions. I know we had a few, so we're going to only take a couple. I know, sorry, Chad, if you dropped a bunch in there. We're only going to grab a couple, but I want to start with Bacon. I know he dropped his probably first, and it's actually a great question. Shout out to Bacon. He said, a question. Do you think with this year being so good for games that the Game Awards has more than 6 nominations for Game of the Year? They're going to have to. There's absolutely no way they don't expand that Game of the Year nomination. There's no way you can't do 6.
It'd be a missed opportunity. If Keighley doesn't, it'll be a huge missed opportunity. And I will call him out on it, because yeah, even the Oscar or the Academy Awards expanded. You have to expand considering how many games are being made these days. And the next, again, 2 to 3 years, depending on how you look at it, are lined up to be similar like this. I'm not going to say every single one's going to be like this year, because like I said, I think this one's going to be the GOAT when it's all said and done. But I think that they are lined up to the fact that you could have enough games for the next 2 to 3 years at least to expand it out to 8 to 10 for the awards, and I think Keighley definitely should.
And this gives you the perfect excuse to do it, because it'd be hard to do it in another year. It'd be hard to like make, you know what I mean? Like it makes sense this year is what I'm trying to say, right? In any year, if you're going to do that, this is the year to say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and open that up. Like that makes sense. I don't think anybody's going to complain. Maybe a couple years ago it wouldn't make sense because it would felt like you're just trying to fit games in. No, you really need to do it this time around, Jeff. You need to expand that thing to 10. 12 may be a bit too much. Maybe 10 is a good sweet spot.
Really, there's no drawback either if you look at it from his perspective. Because even if, let's say, a year down, a couple years down the road, there isn't like 10 giant games to fill those slots, it still means that you can bring in some of the smaller games like we saw last year with like Stray showing up in there. You'd be able to, adjust and highlight maybe 3 indie games that were giant that year. We're always going to have 10 games that can be in the conversation. I don't think we're going to have another year unless another crazy something happens in the world where everything stops again. I don't think you'll have another year where you couldn't justify having 8 to 10 games nominated, at least talked about every single year. I just think there's too many games being made, and we always talk about the games that are being left off, and it would open up other things like a Forza Horizon finally being nominated as it should have been, right? You could, in one of those years where maybe there wasn't a huge plethora of big games, you could have that genre that people poo-poo or put down, but still deserving to be in the conversation, show up and be nominated. So I think it would be, I don't think there's a downside for him doing it.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with that. I know. Go ahead, Fuzz.
No, I think he has to, just for the simple fact of what's been released so far this year. I mean, we even have some remakes that, in all honesty, can be considered. Now, I know some people don't want to necessarily include remakes in that bunch.
Yeah, but I don't include them either. I don't include them either. But go ahead.
But
get your
the argument's there, Fuzzy. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Fuzzy,
no,
sorry.
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's this would be the year because of like Resident Evil and Dead Space. I think those are close enough, especially considering the reception of those games that might be the the brink of opening up the doors. And then let's not forget Hogwarts was like bigger than reality when it came out as far as the buzz on that game. So I don't want to see games like that get left off or forgotten. Yeah, and it's always like, okay, towards the games that come towards the end of the year are the ones that usually are promoted the most type of thing, and whatever came out earlier gets left off. But I don't think that's not the way to go ahead and do that, or do it this year anyway, considering just the the lineup that we've seen. So they definitely need to expand. I'm thinking 8 will probably be enough. 8's enough, like the TV show, but 10 would be awesome as well.
Tight though, man. This year 8's tight, it is. Man, that's a tight squeeze this year. I mean,
and we
10.
still have a couple other games that might still be able to get into
Good
the
Lord.
conversation. So like even
Man.
after Starfield, and I'm not even going to put Forza out there. I would love for like racing games or other genres that may not be mainstream to be included in it. But just looking at things like Alan Wake coming out as well, of course people are going to say, well, Spider-Man. I have different ideas on that one, but in general, there's still going to be a nice bunch of games coming out even after Starfield. So it's like it is going to be a tight field. But yeah, I don't envy Jeff on this one. If he's the one that makes the decision, how many let through the door, either way you look at it, he's probably going to catch a whole bunch of flack on social media about it. But yeah, this definitely needs to be the year to open up the the nominations type of deal, the number of nominations.
No, definitely. I agree with that. Great question. Great question. I know Bacon has another one. It's going to be the last question before we wrap up the show. It has been a banner, a phenomenal show, man. I know Mav had to leave early, but Chad, you guys have been amazing. Everybody stuck around. 100+ people here the whole time. You guys are fucking awesome. Shout out to all the new people seeing in chat. I hope you guys come back and hang out with us next week as well. We're going to get to this last chat question, and then we're going to get on up out of here and finish our Fridays, get back to these video games we need to go back to playing. So last question. Shout out to Bacon Life once again. Appreciate you, brother. So do you think we get Easter eggs from other Xbox games in Starfield, like a Halo ring or the space station from Prey being in it? Now, this is definitely a question for Pong. I would definitely deflect this to you, Pong, because this is something that you might have already thought about. This wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah. No, I don't think I don't think Bethesda themselves will put those Easter eggs in. Modders obviously are going to come and put every possible sci-fi Easter egg and flat out just here's Halo in Starfield, right? They're going to do that.
Yeah.
I think Bethesda will have Easter eggs from their previous games in here to tease, because again, even though they've said it's not the same universe or hinted that it's not the same universe, I still think there's too many opportunities to tease Elder Scrolls or Fallout in this game. So I think we might catch on to some of those from themselves. But Todd not because Todd embraces the modding. Bethesda as a whole embraces the modding community. They're one of the big ones out there. They're one of the first that ever embraced the modding community. That's why they have such a huge following for their games. I mean, they specifically designed Creation Engine to be moddable for that reason. But I think Todd as a whole with his games is a purist in a lot of ways. And I don't think we're going to see like Master Chief skins as official DLC, right? I just, as much as there was a lot of people who want to see Xbox now with all this IP lean into that, and there's certainly a lot of opportunity in other franchises to do that kind of stuff. I think when it comes to Bethesda single player RPGs, the purist in me, and like I said, I think Todd is that way. That's why he has said he doesn't want other people making a mainline Fallout game like an Obsidian, even though they did a great job with New Vegas. He doesn't want that. He wants his team working on it. I don't think we'll see official stuff like that. That's just my opinion.
Okay. No, great question. Fuzz, I don't know if you want to get in on that.
I think we definitely see like a vault door or some sort of reference to Skyrim.
Right.
I was kind of thinking that you'll have people that will make something that looks like a Master Chief skin in the game, not necessarily even modding, like some of the armor that will be in there. If you make it green with like a orange visor, I think you'll see stuff like that. But I think the Easter eggs that we'll see more likely, and I thought this was already confirmed that it will be in there, would be like the Tesla Roadster that he shot into space. So you'll see possibly things like that. Maybe like Voyager or something like that. You might see,
or like real life NASA.
That could, that too, Fuzz. Good call out.
Good call. That's a good point.
Now that they're leaning into this NASA punk thing, and they're kind of absolutely. Go ahead, Fuzz. Sorry, but yes, you just caught me off guard with this. But that's a great shout out.
Yeah, because I think those, like I think because of his fascination with space and just. Like you said, with it being NASA punk and wanting to have it where it's kind of grounded in reality, I think we'll see at least those things in the game. Now, there is the possibility that something like the space station from Prey might make its way in there, or something that looks, eerily similar to it type of deal. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the creatures are almost like the mimics that you see in Prey at some point. But I don't think it will be completely intentional on some of the stuff. Like some of the stuff that's within Bethesda will be there, but I think anything from like other IPs like Doom, I don't necessarily see it, but maybe there'll be armor. They'll be close enough in look that you can kind of colorize to make it like look like more of like the Doom guy outfit type of thing. But I don't know. Modders will whatever. Let's put it this way, like Pong said, whatever isn't there, modders will definitely help it. And I totally expect to see Star Wars and Star Trek stuff in there as well. One of the things I was thinking that it'll be kind of a weird thing to see, and I this is what I kind of expect. The cars that you see in like Fallout, I totally expect to see some of those like atomic power cars, but maybe like they're actual hover cars, and you'll find that in like a dealership in one of the cities on a planet kind of thing. Like I totally expect that. That'll be one of the things I'll probably be looking for type of deal. But stuff within Bethesda, stuff within real NASA, or things that they've sent out into space, I think we see those first, and then the modders will fill in the rest for us, kind of deal.
Awesome, man. I think that's a great idea too. So we'll see. This game is a blank canvas, people. This is about as close as it gets, right, Pong? I think we can agree this is about as close as it gets to a blank canvas and really saying, here, go do what you want to do. And that was the whole point of the direct, was to emphasize that's what this game is. It's about as close as it's going to get, especially in a sci-fi space setting. You know what I mean? Essentially, it's a game about wonder. You wonder what I can go do. Wonder, can I go over there and see that? I wonder what that is. I wonder where that is or why that's over there. You know what I mean? Like that's what the game's about. You ask yourself these questions. So I think it's going to be an experience that we all, like you said, Pong, it's going to be a line in the sand in a year where we are getting game of the year type games every single month. It could potentially like rise above and stand out and be the game of 2023. And that's crazy to consider.
It's gonna be the game. It could be the game of the generation easily.
Yep.
So it's already got the hype behind it. All it needs to do is stick the landing, which Todd and that team have done multiple times. This becomes the game of the generation.
If you didn't know, let me throw this out there. Just a fun fact, guys. I know we talk about Zelda and we say Zelda and it's automatically game of the year.
Absolutely.
Todd, Bethesda is 2-0 against Zelda, in the years that they're both nominated for Game of the Year.
Yep.
Fun fact, just want to let you know. This might be 3. I'm not saying I'm not,
and this year we have a wrench thrown into the whole thing with Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, Baldur's Gate 3 is a huge fucking wrench. Just a whole like toolbox.
Yeah. Unexpected. Not that we didn't know the game wasn't coming, because the game was coming, but the way that it's landed is unexpected. So
definitely. That's unexpected.
Crazy. And funny enough, just real quick, I was just scrolling through X over here, checking some people out that have review codes to see if there's been any little things put out there, because they can't say anything according to the NDA, according to Jez and Rand. It's locked tight. Like you can't even say you're not supposed to. Grub 12 hours ago, he put this out there. He goes, I only want to read reviews of Starfield from people who didn't finish the game. If you finish the main quest, you're playing it wrong. Which means he's off exploring, which is exactly what we talk about. Yep, exactly.
Pete
which
Hines
means
told
he
me
has
this
no
himself.
intention. Yeah,
remember,
yes.
I
talked to
Pete.
Pete.
I talked to Pete. Shout out to Pete. DC Deacon, we need you on the shop, buddy. I'll send the fishing line out there. But
that would be crazy.
And this is what Pete said the game was out of his mouth. And I think I'm okay to say this, but basically I asked him about his experience, and he said, he was exploring one of those derelict ships floating for 4 hours.
Yep.
Just one floating ship, off one little ship for 4 hours. He got lost in the ship.
But that's why I brought up Grub's comment, because again, that means Grub who's playing. And again, I'm inferring a lot here because he didn't say anything specific about his playthrough. But just from that comment, that means that already, since he's got the review code, he has zero interest in playing the main line. that there's so much out there to explore already, that's obviously what he's doing, and that's why he said he just wants to reviews from people who are not doing the main line, who don't finish the game. That's what I want to hear. That, because that's exactly what you'll have your people who just mainline, that play the golden path, as they call it, that just want to complete the main story and they move on with their lives. You're only experiencing 1/100th of what a Bethesda RPG is if you do it that way. I'm not going to tell you you're doing it wrong, because you can certainly do it that way. Everybody plays games differently, but you are not experiencing what makes Bethesda great. That tells me that Grubb's already seeing that in Starfield. Thank you. It's over with. Yeah, that's all I needed to hear. Yep.
Man. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up on that note. It has been a phenomenal show, and that is in all capitals. Make sure you spell that out when you retweet the link. Phenomenal Shop Podcast 315. First and foremost, shout out to our amazing guest, Mr. Fun Speculation. Came through, blessed us with all of this freaking Starfield talk, this goodness, and dropped some gem on us, and we were able to get his takes. And if you didn't know, all his information is already down in the description. Please go follow him. Show the support to our cousin, man, Mav, FSP, man. All of you guys were in chat, by the way. Shout out to everybody. I saw all of the FSP family in chat. You guys are fucking amazing. All the new people, you guys are amazing too. Subscribe if you enjoyed the show. We do this every week. We really get this every week, really, for 2.5 hours. So come back, hang out with us. We're going to have another show next week. But brothers, before I get us out of here formally, you guys are amazing as well and make the show what it is. But we'll start with you, Pong. Having Mav on the show is amazing. This week has been almost surreal. And I'm new to all of this, Pong, and I'm saying this, and I'm feeling all of this for the first time. And you're bathing in this, brother. Like this is something you've experienced multiple times, but just the show, the chat was crazy once again. A bunch of new people. Just let everybody know where they can find you, man. Great show.
Yeah, no, and it's new for, like I said in the beginning, PTK, in a lot of ways, this is new for me because I've never been a part of a community like this when one of these games have launched, right? So to find people that are loving this as much as I am, again, this is all new for me, all this kind of stuff, having these experiences with so many other people, doing podcasts, and talking with, now some of my best friends on a weekly basis about this stuff, who are just as excited as me, meeting, being able to talk with people like you, PTK, that are new, kind of coming into Bethesda as this first major launch, my brother from another, Steel Rain, same position, this is all kind of new to me, and it just adds to the whole experience, because this is something that I used to experience on pretty much my own, right? Outside of reading, forums back in the day, or reading magazines, that kind of stuff, or standing in line talking to people who were there waiting on the games, but then going home and just absorbing the experience myself. Now I get the added excitement and energy from people in this community here, talking to you on the show, seeing people in the chat just lighting up over our conversation about Starfield. So this is a new experience to me. It's on another level, and we're not even to launch yet, right? That's when it really starts. But man, this lead up is great. What a great night. Shout out to Matt for joining us as always. And shout out to you, Blam and Fuzzy, two of my brothers in arms here every Saturday night, for just making another great show. And chat, love it. Nothing but love and respect. Off the hook again. Crazy another one of those weeks with extra energy on top of it, and the chats have been lit everywhere I've been this week. So thank you all for being here. Great show, and I can't wait to talk more Starfield as we get to lead up. And we got Gamescom next week, brothers. We got Gamescom next week.
We ain't even.
Man. IGN just put out a preview of Black Myth Wukong. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Please go watch
Black Myth Wukong. Yeah, absolutely. I know IGN took a lot of flack this week, thanks to our brother, Lore Master Jasper, who started a firestorm against IGN this week. Awesome. But IGN still gets access that the rest of us don't, and they got Black Myth Wukong. So, and I know that's going to be a big game for a lot of people, hopefully if it launches next year like they're planning. But Gamescom's going to bring us a lot of news next week on top of the Starfield hype, and we might have some ABK news. According to Tom Warren, CMA is going to put out a release next week, some kind of information during Gamescom. So we might have a lot to talk about next Saturday night.
Crazy.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Yeah. Listen, everybody, quick shout out to, if you guys didn't see Iron Lord's podcast, shout out to ILP. Gotta give them their flowers. They've got Peter Moore on tomorrow. So
That's crazy.
listen, one of the godfathers, one of my favorite CEOs of all time was the lead at Sega for the Dreamcast in the West. Obviously, one of the best CEOs that Xbox ever had next to Phil. Like, talk about a dude who is passionate about the game industry. Peter Moore is one of the godfathers. Love that guy, and he's going to be on the ILP tomorrow, so please check them out. Otherwise, Pong Soul on X, formerly known as Twitter. Pong Soul on Xbox, you know the drill there. Next week, it starts all over again. Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, the man who helped get Steel and I over 1K on Living Split Screen this week, live on the air on X-Vlog when he had Steel on.
To Boom, man.
Yeah,
Awesome
Boom's
guy.
one amazing. That's why I always shout out the show, even though I'm not a part of the panel anymore. Xbox Factor every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there. Thursday nights, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. Over on Fun Speculation Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. We will have a lot to talk about because Gamescom is going to be happening live while, that week, next week. So we will have a lot to talk about Thursday night. Be there for that. Friday nights back on Fun Speculation Network for Xbox Ultimate, where we just, again, I always say it, but it is true. We laugh a lot. You never know what topics are going to be brought up. You don't know what's going to happen, but we talk a lot of gaming too, and it's just a fun atmosphere every Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, Living Split Screen, as I just said, Split Screen, all one word. My brother from another Steel, Rain, and I go live every Saturday that we can, 3+ hours. Today was 5 hours, man. It was crazy. We had so many conversations going on. Be there every Saturday morning. Newly minted 1K, finally, subscribers.
Awesome.
We
Congrats,
did it.
man.
But
Y'all deserve
you.
that. Shout out to
Thank
Steel,
you.
man. Shout out to you,
But,
Pong. You guys
yeah.
more than deserve that, chat, man. Round of applause in chat on the way out, man.
It's coming, and the mission continues. Just because we hit 1K, it's a big mark for me and Steel because of how we do it. One show a week. We do everything wrong according to everybody. We go longer than 2 hours. We don't have guests on. We don't do giveaways. None of that. It's just me and him every Saturday. We're going to increase stuff. We're going to start streaming together, but join us every Saturday, Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Thank you all for the love and support getting us there, and for all the love and support you give all of these channels. So appreciate you all. It's the golden age of gaming, people. It truly is. Play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Thanks again, Blam.
Appreciate you, man. Once again, go follow Pong. Easiest way, go follow him on the app formerly known as Twitter, that X app, and you'll be able to keep up with everything going on with him. It's a lot going on in the next couple. Before he goes into his cave, please go follow him because you're not going to be able to talk to him after that. After
you might see me streaming, though, so you can join me in some chats.
But that's it. That's the only conversation you're getting from him. Then back to the cave. That's it. So just make sure you guys go follow him before that happens. But Pong, I appreciate you. This couldn't have been... I would never want to share this moment with anybody else but someone like you, brother. So I appreciate it, man. Such a big, huge thing for me being new to this as well, too, brother. We're sharing it together, and it's huge, man. Shout out to chat, was amazing. But my other brother, Fuzzy Belvedere, man, a monumentous, stupendous. How many other words could we say? This show was fucking fantastic. One of my favorite shows we've done all year.
And we're going to be sharing the stage with Fuzzy when Forza launches, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So
we're doing
again,
that.
Like, this is going to be crazy, man, because we're going to have Fuzzy all over Forza, man. It's going to be crazy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But let us know, man, how the show, let everybody know where they can find you, Fuzz. A phenomenal show, brother.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome being on here with you guys, and always awesome doing the podcast with Mav as well. Shout out to him for joining us earlier. Man, just congrats to you and Steel for reaching your goals.
Thanks,
and continuing. Man, the hard work is definitely paying off, you guys, man. It's awesome to see. And man, I just want to thank everybody that joined us tonight in the chat. It's so great to see everybody that's here normally and some new faces. Greatly appreciate you guys taking the time, checking us out. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate you guys taking your time to listen to us. For those that want to hear my endless rambles or rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, or on YouTube, because I will be doing some more Forza content at Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word, on YouTube. You can also find me on Xbox Lunch Break Special Monday at 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming with Mr. Boomstick, Web Dave, and Crazy Lou. And then later on that evening, 10 p.m. on FSP on Fun Speculations channel. And then, next Saturday, looking forward to hopefully seeing everybody here right here for the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on this channel. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks again.
Awesome, man. Phenomenal show. Shout out to you, Fuzz. And once again, go follow Fuzz on the app formerly known as Twitter as well. Going to be the easiest way to keep up with where he's at. Soft-spoken guy, but big opinions. That's what we do here at the Shop Podcast. And we're definitely having fun here with the exclusive information that you're only going to get at the Shop Podcast when Forza comes out for sure. That's definitely happening. We're probably going to dedicate a whole show to it just because Fuzz is here. And he deserves it. So
awesome.
But shout out to you, man. That's definitely in the plans for sure. But last but not least, your host here, PTK Blam. I appreciate all the people coming through. First and foremost, Mav, fucking phenomenal. My brother, our cousin here, all the FSP love, everybody in chat, the other FSP members as well. But all the new people, all the new faces. We do this every single week. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast, man, the best place on the weekends to get caught up on all your gaming news and topics, man. But follow me on Twitter, hit me up on Xbox. Playing a lot of Diablo right now until Starfield comes out. Then that's all I'll be playing. So we're transitioning here, but it's gonna happen abruptly here on the 31st. So hit me up if you want to play some Diablo right now. That's probably what I'll be playing up until then. But other than that, man, you guys enjoy your week. Hopefully we're gonna have a phenomenal guest next week. I'm trying to get things lined up, but I'll let you guys know as the days goes on. But I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your night. Peace out. Please be safe. Have a great weekend. See you next week, everybody.
Later.